Thank you so much for joining us. The Imam of Masjid Huda, South B, Sheikh Mubarak Awis, he's already here with us. Thank you. Doctor, okay, I'm being reminded that he's Doctor. Dr. Mubarak Awis, thank you so much for joining us. Our senior lecturer and my lecturer at the University of Nairobi, Dr. Hashim Abdul Qadir, who is also among our guest speaker today. Thank you for joining us. Our Qari, the Deputy Imam Parklands Mosque, Sheikh Salman, thank you so much for joining us. The presence of the YMA, Board of Management, Board of Directors, officials from YMA, presence of our invited guests from various organizations, student leaders across the universities in Nairobi, the patrons of different high schools around, our university students, high school students, and all the invited guests. Feel most welcome to this auditorium, which is Chandaria Auditorium. Okay, before I invite the Qari, Sheikh Salman, I want us to keep our house in order. Let us avoid murmuring anytime a speaker is speaking or anytime there is an activity going on. Let us avoid murmuring. Let us maintain the silence that it deserves. Number two, let us avoid unnecessary movements. But if you have to go out of the auditorium, for our students, the exit is up there. For our guests, the exit is just the other way. And we have our volunteers and officials in the reflectors, just in case you'll have any query or any concern, they are ready to direct and help. So ya Jama'ah, feel most welcome to the University of Nairobi. Feel most welcome to this wonderful event. I must say we haven't had such events before, but today this is a special event. So allow me now to welcome Sheikh Salman, the Deputy Imam of Parkland Mosque, so that he can officially kick off this event with Quran recitation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله نور السماوات والأرض. مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح. المصباح في زجاجة. الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري توقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار نور على نور يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم. في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه يسبح له فيها بالغدو والآصال رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة يخافون يوما تتقلب فيه القلوب والأبصار ليجزيهم الله أحسن ما عملوا ويزيدهم من فضله والله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب. والذين كفروا أعمالهم كسراب بقيعة يحسبه الظمآن ماء حتى إذا جاءه لم يجده شيء أو وجد الله عنده فوفيه حسابه والله سريع الحساب والذين كفروا أعمالهم كسراب بقيعة يحسبه الظمآن ماء حتى إذا جاءه لم يجده شيء أو وجد الله عنده فوفيه حسابه والله سريع الحساب أو كظلمات في بحر لجي يغشيه موج من فوقه سحاب ظلمات بعضها فوق بعض إذا أخرج يده لم يكد يريها ومن لم يجعل الله له نورا فما له من نور صدق الله العظيم.
صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسول الكريم. Have a brief question here. What was so special about this recitation of the Quran? Anyone can answer that? What was so special about this recitation of the Quran? Our students, high school students? Okay. Who has raised his or her hand? Okay. Takbir. Thank you so much, Sheikh Salman, the Deputy Imam of Parkland Mosque. We are learning, huh? We are learning. Had I been you, I would have already noted down what the brother answered. So it's now my honor to invite the Imam of Jamia Mosque Committee, Sheikh Jamaluddin Osman. He's so familiar with us. I think we have interacted with him in various occasions. And today, alhamdulillah, it's another opportunity to hear from him. Before you come, Sheikh, Mabruk on your appointment as the Imam, because the last time we knew you as the Deputy Imam. So Mabruk, and may Allah make it easy for you. So welcome, Sheikh.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أما بعد, I would kindly request the people in charge to raise the voice. Imma mimi niname ama nyinyi mnyanyue sauti. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we send blessings and salutation upon his messenger Muhammad ibn Abdullah salawatu rabbi wa salamu alayhi. Ikhwani fillah wa akhawati fillah. The topic that I've been given to tackle is youth and leadership in Islam. When you're talking about the youth, we need to go back to the seerah of our beloved messenger Muhammad ibn Abdullah salawatu rabbi wa salamu alayhi. He was the best of leaders. And when someone is a leader, one of the things that he'll always have in mind is to prepare the next generation for leadership. And there is no other way of preparing the next generation other than working with the youth. That is why Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam would appoint the first ambassador of Islam to be a young man who's a youth, Mus'ab ibn Umair, radiyallahu anhu, someone who died and he has never married. Mus'ab radiallahu anhu believed in the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam used him. And in fact, any efforts that were done in Medina, any success that was achieved in Medina, by the grace of Allah, it is him who laid the foundation. So if there is any khair that is happening in Madinati Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, before the Prophet went after Hijrah, till today, till the day of judgment, all that khair will be in the mizan of Mus'ab ibn Umayr radiallahu anhu. Why? Because he was the first person sent there to send the message of Islam. Sheikh Badr, you have your position. I see your name here, Sheikh Badr Ja'far. Fadl. There's your name here. Karibu Sheikh. Jazakumullah khair. So, another thing that we're having, or another challenge that we're having in this world of today, is we have different type of crisis. So I would ask a quick question. What are the crises that we have, that we are facing in this time and age? As youth, as Muslims, what do you think are the crises that we are facing right now? Anyone? Naam? We are missing the love and brotherhood. The fear of Allah, being conscious of Allah. Okay. Anything? Yes? Knowledge, ilm. Atheism, which is a challenge because, especially amongst the youth. Yes, my sister? Islamophobia. So we have challenge in our da'wah also. This side. Yes, anyone? So if you're told to list a challenge, if you're a leader today, and you're told, list the challenges that we're having as an ummah, you say we'll have challenges, there's poverty, we'll say that there's ignorance, we say there's lack of fear of Allah. You can list. But one problem that is facing us as an ummah, and we are oblivious about it, is we have a crisis of leadership. If we had the right type of leadership, do you think our brothers in Gaza will be facing what they're facing right now? I'm asking, do you think they will be facing what they're facing right now? No. So leadership is something that is of essence in this ummah. Now, let me come back to the youth and the Muslim youth. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam gave opportunity to young people. Another last example that I give you, that a young man who was given an opportunity to lead the ummah was a young man by the name Usama ibn Zayd radiyallahu anhu ardah, or radiyallahu anhuma, him and his father. Usama was a young man and he was at the age of 18 years. Now, all of you here are past 18, I'm sure, because you'll not be at the university unless you're past 18. Now, we find that this young man, at the age of 18, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam makes him to be the commander of the Muslim army that was being sent. And under him was Abu Bakr and Umar. Now, we find that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam was preparing the next generation. But the army did not leave Medina because Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam was sick. And they were not sure, do we leave, do we stay, do we leave? And then they heard that Rasul passed away, salawatu rabbi wa salamu alayhi. When the messenger passed away, then some of the elder Sahabas, when Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was chosen as a Khalifati Rasulullah, they had reservations. They say that this is a young man. Can we have someone else in his place? And they start sending people. Even they said to Umar radiallahu anhu, can we have someone old, someone experienced? And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was so angry at Umar, and he told him, are you asking me to change what Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam had put there? You're not going to change this. Osama would lead this army. And they went, and it was one of the best expeditions. And when they came back with wealth that was never brought back in Medina. That is the barakah of advice of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Now, one thing that you should understand is our Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam knew that we need to prepare the next generation. Khalid bin Walid was there, Abu Ubaidah was there, Abu Bakr was there, but he chose Usama ibn Zayd. So since you have a leadership crisis, one of the solutions as an ummah that we need to have is how do we train and how do we empower the youth so that they can be the leaders of tomorrow and they can be the right type of leaders. A lot of people confuse between leadership and management. This is something that is very important. One thing that you should understand is leaders, they lead. And it's never about them. It's about the crowd. It's about the people. It's never about them. And this is something that Quraysh had a problem with. That was Abu Jahl, when he was fighting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he thought that it was about Muhammad, it was about Bani Hashim. But he never understood that this was a message that was beyond that. It was not about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when you're leading a person or when you're leading a community, it's always about putting people's interest first. And it's never about you. If you want to become a leader and you know you have selfishness in you, then keep away from seeking such type of tasks that or goals that you want to achieve. If you know that you're selfish, and you know and you think that you want to make things about yourself, then pave way for other people, because that is not a role that you can play. But if you know that deep down in your heart you want to serve people, then take this position. Another thing that a quality a leader should have, other than having the right intention, they should understand that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants you leadership or grants you a position to guide people and lead people in any capacity, it could be an imam, it could be a governor, it could be a president, it could be a king. You should always understand that it doesn't mean that you're above people or you're above the law. Never think that you're above people. And in fact, if you want to be above people, then know that that is a sign that you'll not enter Jannah. If you always want to be above people and people to be under you, know that that is a sign of the people of hellfire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this in the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Qasas. تِلْكَ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةِ نَجْعَلُهَا لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُرِيدُونَ عُلُوًّا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَا فَسَادًا. تِلْكَ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةِ. That abode in Jannah, it's meant for people who are not seeking to be above people. So if you have a characteristics that you want to be above people, and you want people to be obedient to you, and you want people to be humble to you, then know that that is not a sign of the people of Jannah. In fact, it is a sign of the people of hellfire. Just because you've been recognized, just because you've been given a position, it doesn't mean that you start making demands. And you want to be addressed in a certain way. And you want to be welcomed in a certain way. When you start having this type of characteristics, then you know that there's this sickness that has seeped in your heart. And when it seeps in your heart, you're making the leadership to be about you and not about the people. I will not mention who this politician was. There was once a politician who was in Kenya, and he went to an event, and it was about serving the community. And when he was addressing the public, it was no longer about the issue why he was there. Maybe some of you are young, you cannot remember this, or you are not exposed to this. But this person started becoming angry, and he said, how can I come a place and there is no red carpet put for me? If you know, you know. But there's a politician in Kenya, a very well-known politician, who was angry. And the event was to serve people. And it was about a project. But the whole thing, he was pissed off, and he could not talk about the project and how it's benefiting people. The whole issue was, how come there was not, look at the type of red carpet they've put for me. Now we ask this person, when you're taking this leadership position, was it about you or was it about serving the people? Another thing that you should understand, or you should have if you're going to be a leader, leaders don't always go with the crowd, and they are not afraid to stand out from the crowd. Even if the whole world will go east, and he's supposed to be west, he will stand by it, as long as he knows that he's doing the right thing. And this is what our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam had. When Quraysh came to him and they realized they cannot stop him from doing da'wah, they told him, what is it that you want? Do you want to become the wealthiest person in our community? We will gather all our wealth, a portion, and all the wealth that we gather from everyone, we'll give it to you, and you'll be the wealthiest amongst us. If it's about wealth or money. What is it that you want? You want leadership? We will crown you as the king. What is it that you want? Are you sick? We'll get you someone who will do ruqya upon you. What is it that you want? You want the most beautiful woman? We'll get you we'll get you most of the, if not all, we'll bring them to you and you'll marry them. What is it that you want? And Quraysh never understood it was not about him. It was about the message. And if everyone would stand away, he will still stick to it. And he told them, if you would put the sun on my right hand, and you'll put the moon on my left hand, I would never stop doing what I'm doing. What are you talking about? Kunipatia mangamia? Wacha ngamia mkiniletea jua muneke kwa mkono siachi hii kazi. So you can do whatever you want, but I'll never go with the crowd. I'll do what is right. And that is a characteristic of a leader. He's not afraid to stand alone when doing the right thing. You see, there's a difference between a leader and an influencer. An influencer, it's all about the crowd. It's all about the followers. It's all about the likes. It's all about the shares. But a leader, as much as that is important, but it's not the most important thing to them. To them is the message should reach. A characteristic that a leader should have is that leadership should not be taken lightly. If Allah has chosen you as a leader, don't take this very lightly. If anything but, you should be afraid, because other than the mas'ul that you've been given of yourself and your family, you've taken the responsibility of the community itself. Now it's enough that Allah asks you about you. It's enough that Allah asks you about your children. That is enough. Allah would ask you about your wife. That is enough in itself. Now imagine if you've already carried the burden of the community, whereby Allah would ask you about the community. And the Sahabas, Ridwanullahi alayhim, they were afraid, they even thought when they took leadership that Allah would ask him about the animals. That is why Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, he was afraid, he would say, I'm afraid that an animal will get hurt somewhere because there's a pothole or the place was not, the road was not paved well, and a horse would break his leg, and Allah would ask me about it. That is leadership. You do not take leadership very lightly. It is responsibility, and we have a guidance from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, kullukum mas'ul wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyati. Another characteristics of a leader is you need to be surrounded by people who are better than you. If you are the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. If you're the best person in that room, then you're in the wrong room. A leader is supposed to surround himself with people who have more knowledge and more experience. And they consult. And that is a characteristic that a leader should always have. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this in the Holy Quran in Surah Ash-Shura. Allah says, وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. A leader doesn't want to control people. A leader doesn't want to be a boss. A leader is seeking solutions for people and problems. That is why he is not intimidated by people who are more knowledgeable than them. He's not intimidated by people who have more experience than them. He's there to listen to people's views and to get guidance. But when you're intimidated by someone who's more learned than you, or you feel like you're intimidated by someone who's got more experience than you, and you'd find a way to get rid of them so that you can get people who are obedient to you, then you're not a leader, you're a boss. And you will have gone against the guidance of Allah. وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. A leader needs to have a vision. And the vision needs to be very clear for everyone. Where are we heading and where are we going? A leader without a vision will not reach anywhere. And a leader with a vision that is not clear will not reach anywhere. And a leader with a vision that is clear and the followers are not adapting to that vision will not reach anywhere. A leader needs to have a vision that is clear, that is understood by the people who are under him, so that they can reach the goal. And they are reminded every now and then, this is our vision, and this is our mission, and this is how we're going to accomplish this. That is a sign of a leader. My time is up, but another thing that a leader should have is you should have organizational skills. You cannot say you're a leader and you say this is our vision and you do not help to plan the path and the project for people. And you tell them, you need to be here, you need to be there, this needs to be done. So that it's clear for everyone and the roles to be played is clear for everyone. But when you're a leader and you say we have a vision and there's no plan that has been set and it's not clear for who plays what role, then we will have a problem. Al-Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was reciting the salah one day and he was reciting the Quran in salah and he forgot the verse that was next. And the Sahabas kept quiet. They could not correct or remind Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When he finished the salah, he turned back and he asked, Aina Ubay ibn Ka'ab? Where is Ubay ibn Ka'ab? He did not say Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali. Aina Ubay ibn Ka'ab? And he asked him, Ma mana'aka an taftaha alay? Ubay, what stopped you from correcting me or from reminding me what I've forgotten? Innama ana basharun mithlukum ansa kama tansaw. I'm a human being like you. I forget the way you forgot. But you see, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he knew that each Sahaba had roles to play. Now, how can you be a leader and you have a vision and the people who are under you, they don't know what roles they're playing? And in fact, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Aqra'ukum li kitabillahi man? Ubay ibn Ka'ab. The most learned amongst you in the Holy Quran is Ubay ibn Ka'ab. أعلمكم بحلال والحرام من? Mu'adh ibn Jabal. A young man, 30-year-old man. He's a person who understood fiqh, what is halal and what is haram. And Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, one day he asked the messenger a question and the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, I did not expect you to ask me such a question. This was not something that I thought you knew this by now. And he made it clear that there are some expectations that I have from you. There is a level that I expect you to reach. I don't want you to stoop low and go under a certain level. And that is a leader. He knows the capability of the followers. And he knows who's best to play which role. It's never about them. And let me finish by this. When Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wanted to call people for prayer, because in Mecca, they were not able to congregate. They were not praying Jum'ah wala Jama'ah. Some of them, they would pray Jama'ah in their houses, like Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and some few Sahabas. So when they reached Medina and the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was constructed, they would pray together. Then some of them would come late and they'll realize people have already prayed. Then they said, we need to find a solution. We need to notify people that the time of Salah has reached. So Rasul followed the guidance of Allah. وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَ بَيْنَهُمْ. And everyone came with an idea. Some said, why don't we do a fire? Some said, why don't we do a bell? Some said, why don't we blow a horn? Everyone came up with an idea. But they all agreed on we need to have bells. And the Sahabi, he said, وَكَانَ لَهُ كَارِ, and he disliked it because that was the ways of the Christians. He wanted to come with a new way that is different from the path of the other people. The Sahabi went and slept, and he dreamt of two angels. And he dreamt of those two angels carrying bells. And he said, can I buy this bell from you? And they asked him, what do you want to do this bell with? He said, I need to take it to Rasulullah. We agreed upon ourselves that we are going to use it as a call of prayer. In that situation, the angels told him, can we teach you something better than that? Then they taught him the adhan, Allahu Akbar, until the end of the adhan. He woke up and he came to Rasulullah. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I had this dream and this is what I saw. And the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam was very happy and he said, إِنَّهَا لَرُؤْيَا حَقٌّ إِنشَاءَ. This is a dream from Allah. So he told him, أَلْقِيهَا عَلَى بِلَالِ فَإِنَّهُ أَنْدَى مِنْكَ صَوْتًا. You're not the best person for this job. Yes, the idea was yours. Yes, Allah used you, but you're not the best person to implement this idea. So a leader is not afraid to find the right person to do the job. He told, Alqiha ala Bilal. And Bilal was taught by Abdullah ibn Zayd how to make the adhan. And Bilal stood and he would do it on his ears, say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And he would whisper. And Bilal would say, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, لِأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَنْدَى مِنْكَ صَوْتًا. His voice is more beautiful and his pitch of his voice is very high, it can reach far. You don't have a voice that can reach far. And Abdullah ibn Zayd was okay with that. Yes, the idea was his, Allah used him, but he's not the right person to implement the idea. And the Rasul told him, he gave him the reason. Yes, this is your idea, but this person can do a better job. Can you allow him to do? Can you whisper on his ear so that he can do that? And for the first time, the adhan was made in Medina, and Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, وَهُوَ يَجُرُّ الثِّيَابُ, was carrying his clothes and he was running. Ya Rasulullah, what is this? What is this? He said, Rasul told him, this is what happened, and this is the dream of one of my Sahabas. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I saw the same dream. I saw the same dream. And the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Alhamdulillah, innaha la ru'ya haqqun insha'Allah. So a leader can identify who's the best person to do the job, and he can convince people, listen, this is your idea, but this person can implement it better. Another thing that you should be able to differentiate is leaders are not managers. Leaders are not managers. Managers, they always do what is right. And according to them, what is right to them is what is in the policies and what is in the book. But a leader will know when to bend the rules. He said yes, he would say, listen, yes. A manager would say, no, we need to stick to this. We need this to be done. But a leader, if he sees a problem ahead, he would say, listen, we've agreed on this, but this is not going to work for us. Can we take this path? A leader is always flexible, and he can bend the rules so that he can maximize on achieving the goal in the fastest way possible. Another thing that also I would want to conclude with is as Muslim leaders or youth leaders, what are the things that you can do? what is the best role you can play right now? We are facing several challenges. We are facing Islamophobia, where the image of Islam is tarnished. You should find a way, and you should play a role to present Islam in the best way possible. And who can tell me what is the best way possible that you can use to present Islam? Who can tell me? As a youth, you do not have a platform. You're not an imam of a masjid. You do not have Masjid Huda. You do not have Masjid Jamia. You do not have a platform like this where you speak. You do not have media. You do not have the money. So in your position and within your capacity, what is your best way of spreading Islam? Now, akhlaq, ahsant, character. And this applies to everyone. And this applies to everyone. You are an ambassador of Islam. The Christians and the Jews and those who are around us, they do not read the Quran or Hadith. They read you. They read you. And what you are is what Islam is. And I'll share a story here. There was a lecturer at this same university, Nairobi University. And this lecturer became a Muslim. But that was way back when I was in Mombasa branch, Nairobi University. And when he joined Islam, some of the youth, they introduced him to me and we started having contacts. And we had iftar. You know, university students have iftar program. But then I had a lot of time in my hands, so I went and had iftar with them. And they introduced me to the teacher. And they said, oh, this is our teacher. His name is Ibrahim. So we exchanged our numbers, we communicated. On Eid day, he called me several times. But I was busy with mom and kids and, you know, my dad, Allah yarhamu, and those who are around me. And later in the evening, I called back and I told him, sorry, I was held up. Tell me, what's up? He told me, I have a situation. Jazakallah khair. He said, I have a situation. I didn't tell my mom if I was a Muslim. And I was brought up as a Catholic. And I want to know if I can change my name. I asked him why. He said, when I sent a gift to my mom, and when she received it, she asked me, what is this gift for? What is this gift for? What is the occasion? And I said, and he said, my mom is very sharp. She picked very quickly. And I told her, Mama, huku twasherekea Eid Mombasa. Mama, what do you mean twasherekea? Are you one of them? Then he said, I became a Muslim. I did not want to lie. And I said, Mom, yes, I've joined Islam. Akasema, the mama told him, umepata msichana Kiarabu huko? Then he said, no, Mama. Mimi mtu nimesoma, I did my research. And then he said, then that is good. They said, I was shocked by the response. Then she said, it would have been very bad of you if you joined Islam because of a woman that you loved. But if you did your own research and you're pleased with that, then I support you. Then she told him, what is your name? Then he said, my name is Ibrahim. He said, why didn't you choose Qasim? Then he asked, Mom, what do you mean Qasim? I was like, listen, in 1982, I was pregnant and I was carrying you in my stomach or in my womb. And there was a coup that happened in 1982. And they would have soldiers and would have people of the army and police and fires being shot. And everyone was running everywhere. And I had no place to go. There's a man by the name Qasim. He took me in and he took care of me for those few hours, or one day he even slept and he took care of me until everything had cooled down and settled. He even made sure that I went to the bus and I went back home. So if you're going to choose a name, choose Qasim. Then he told me, Sheikh, can I change to Qasim? Kambia, yes, 1,000 times. So his name now is Dr. Qasim. Dr. Qasim. He's in Mombasa. I don't know if he's been transferred to Nairobi. So the best way you can act as a leader and as a youth is through your akhlaq. Through your akhlaq. And what did Qasim do to Mama? What did Qasim do to Mama Qasim? Did he teach him Quran? Did he teach her Quran? Just akhlaq, ikram. That's all. Just showing that I care about you and I'm an honest person. I did not bring you to my house and to my family to take advantage of you. When everything settled down, she was taken to the bus, akalipiwa fare, akaambia haya rudi kwenu salama. Now, one thing you should know is that through your good character, if you will not be able to make someone join Islam, at least you will make them not to be the enemies of Islam. If they'll not be Muslims, then at least they'll not be the enemies of Islam. Now, this lady, she's not a Muslim, but she was never an enemy of Islam or the Muslims. Why? Because that is the picture she had of Islam, what Qasim did to her. And this is a lecture at your own university. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us. Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqa warzuqna ittiba'ah, wa arina al-batila batila warzuqna ijtinabah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Ahsantum wa jazakumullahu khairan.
Shukran so much, Sheikh Jamaluddin. I want to apologize. When I came to give you the piece of paper, I gave it to you with my left hand. So I'm apologizing for that. The words that our Sheikh has just given us, especially some of us who are Muslim leaders, of course, a Muslim is a leader. We need to have a reflection on that. And the topic is so wide, but due to time, the Sheikh had to fix so that he can hit to the point. Shukran so much, Sheikh Jamaluddin, for that. I didn't recognize the presence of the media houses. We have Haajar TV. They are live in YouTube, so you can just tell anyone who wasn't able to join the event to check the YouTube channel for Haajar TV so that they can follow the event. Al-Huda TV, they are around. YMA Media, they are also around. One thing about Sheikh Jamaluddin, I asked my colleague, what do you know of Sheikh Jamaluddin? He told me, I know him of a knowledgeable person, but there is one specific character that I like about him, is that the Sheikh, the dress code of the Sheikh is always on top. Nadanganya jamaa. The dress code of the Sheikh, mashallah, tabarakallah on that. We have from the YMA, we have a disclaimer that the Young Muslim Association, who are the main partner for this event, they state categorically that this is an NGO which focuses on development, especially youth empowerment and taking care of the orphan. So they don't attack any organization or any government. So we are humbly requested that we are there to the same. So that was a disclaimer from the YMA department. So now it's my honor and privilege as the chairperson to invite our chief guest for the day. And before I invite him, I want to say something about him. When we were with him during the Msaun, the University of Nairobi Muslim Student Association Mombasa campus iftar dinner, some last days before Eid, he was the chief guest as well. So we were up there, the chairman of Msaun Mombasa campus was like, yeah, Jamaa, go to the parking lot. The chief Kadhi is coming. Go to the parking lot, go and receive him. Watu wakatoka wakaenda. When we reached there, we were waiting to see vehicles, escort of police, GK. Alafu kidogo, we just see someone coming from a tuk-tuk. That is how humble the chief Qadi is. And the Mombasa campus chairman was like, yeah, Jamaa, si hata tungemlipia Uber. We told them that the chief Qadi doesn't want an Uber. The chief Qadi is the most humble person that I've ever met, in a such high position in the government. Takbir. Takbir. And when I was analyzing that situation, I said, maybe because he's coming from Malindi, because we people who come from Malindi are always humble. Thank you so much. Now it's my honor and privilege to welcome Honorable Sheikh Abdul Halim Athman, the Chief Qadi of the Republic of Kenya. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wa thanau lillahi wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillahi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's my great pleasure for us to be present here today at this very auspicious auditorium of one of the most the best universities in Kenya that I know of. And I'd like first to appreciate the efforts of YMA, the Association of Muslims universities and colleges in Kenya, and all the other partners who have made this occasion successful. Your attendance today has greatly encouraged me and our institution, and on behalf of the Muslims of Kenya. So we are going to talk about the Kadhi'S court. The focus is on the youth, especially the university students, as well as the high school students who very soon are going to become university students. Among us here are scholars, learners, and shuyukhs. We are very privileged to have you with us. I know there are more knowledgeable people who have immense knowledge on this topic that we can share, but on this day, that duty falls on me. We have our esteemed distinguished scholar, Dr. Abdul Qadir Hashim, who we've done a lot of works together. He teaches Islamic law, he's a scholar, a researcher in Islamic law, and many others in this field. The importance first, before we delve into this topic, why should we even understand the Kadhi'S court as university students and Muslim youths in Kenya? To put that into perspective is to know the geography of the Muslim world, that there are so many Muslims in other parts of this continent and even other parts of the world who will do anything they could do just to have even a piece of the legislations that we do have, to enjoy the rights that we do enjoy in Kenya from time immemorial. I was privileged to attend an event at the Riyadh, Ma'had al-Ali lil-Qada, where we had so many other students from Africa in general, but students also Qudat from other regions, Asia, Malaysia and Indonesia, who come to study there to specialize on the judgeship in Islamic courts. Countries that have immense history and expertise and scholarship in Islamic law, but do lack the institution of the Kadhi'S court, and they are crying for us. A country like Mali, a country like Senegal, who have produced so many scholars, have written so many books, but their laws do not allow the establishment of the Kadhi'S courts, and they just have to follow the other normal courts like the other ones. And they are surprised when in Kenya we have a court that is established under the constitution. And those are majority Muslim countries. So we must be very appreciative, very thankful and grateful to Allah the Almighty for this occasion, so that we actually cherish, protect, and advance this institution that we have in Kenya. I'm going to talk things, probably you know them. We're going to talk some history. We're going to talk about the challenges we had into the changes into the constitution. We are going to talk about the jurisdiction of the Kadhi'S courts and the challenges therein. What exactly do we deal with in the Kadhi'S court? Is it limited or is it extensive according to how you look at it? And probably how the more current challenges that we have. And then how is it relevant? The Kadhi'S court in our day-to-day life, how does it have any effect in our day-to-day lives? And what probably is our role eventually that we can do to chip in to protect, advance this very important institution for the Kadhi'S court in Kenya. In Kenya, the Kadhi'S court is one of, you can change the, it's one of the oldest, I always say, institution of law in Kenya. Even before the colonists came, but even before the Usaidids came, the Arabs came to Kenya, there already existed in the coastal strip of Kenya some form of a legal system, as it is shown by history. Ibn Battuta in Ar-Rahal al-Maghribi, the Maghribi geographic person who just tried to roam around the world to look and record the new places of the world. He records that in the 14th century, he came to the coast of Kenya and he found that there already existed Muslims and there existed mosques, and in those mosques, the imams also acted as spaces for legal disputes resolution. So even as early as the 1400s, there already existed that even before the Sayyid came to Kenya, or Sayyid al-Baragash, as we are going to see. In those, the same, it is recorded in Al-Maqasid al-Hasana في بيان كثير من الأحاديث المشتهرة على سنة الناس لإمام شمس الدين السخاوي. He says that Al-Maqrizi in 1436 is in Mecca doing the Hajj pilgrimage. And at that time, the Qadi of Lamu, Sheikh Muhammad bin Ishaq bin Muhammad, was performing pilgrimage in Mecca in 1436, as early as that time. So we find that there was already a Qadi of Lamu who had gone in Mecca to perform Hajj, and Al-Maqrizi was able to record that in that very good book of his. And we can see that then before probably even the 1430s, as early as wherever Muslims were there, and we know that Muslims were present at the coastal strip as early as when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ himself was alive. So there is that possibility that the institution of the Kadhi'S is old as even while the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was here. But when the sultans of Oman came to Kenya and the coastal strip and Zanzibar, especially from Somalia, Mafia, all the way to the South Islands of Mafia, Zanzibar and Pemba Islands, all those even up to Mozambique, some of those areas were under the Sultan, Said. he established the Kadhi'S court. They became more organized and having more powers. Rather than working from a mosque, then they had more special powers. When Said Sultan al-Barghash came around 1878 to 1888, that was the time that the sultanates were becoming weak. So they tried to give it up to the British through a company. Even the British government itself had not come yet to the coast to take it. There was a company, East African company. So they entered an agreement with this one, and so that they can administer the coastal strip on their behalf. And when the government of Britain eventually took over the company, they entered the charter with that company. And in that charter, at Articles 11 and 12, it led to the protection of religion, customs, and laws of the peoples of the territories where Muslims were predominant, and those were what was formerly known as the protectorates. This shows us that as early as even when the colonists came, when the rules shifted from the Sultanate to the British, the protection of the Islamic Kadhi'S courts, Islamic legal system, and Islamic administration were being preserved through the laws that were being enacted through treaties and agreements. So the British government, East African Company, and the British Protectorate declared the coastal strip as a British protectorate, and that protectorate preserved also initially the powers of the Islamic courts or the Kadhi'S courts to be able to function. Then there was the period when Kenya wanted to get independence. And then there was the issue, what will happen to the coastal strip, which was never colonized, and the people were referred to as subjects of the Sultan. And these are a charter that protects them. What is going to happen? So James Robertson did in the sessional paper number 61 of 1961, did a research and was given time to propose what should happen to the coastal strip. Through that sessional paper, he proposed that the best is to have the coastal strip together, because of so many other issues, together with Kenya, but fundamentally protecting not only the Kadhi'S court, but also the institutions of learning of the Muslims, also protecting the administration of the people, especially of the coast. So they entered an agreement between Duncan Sandys, representing the government of UK, the Said Jamshid, representing the Sultanate, Jomo Kenyatta, representing Kenya, and Sheikh Mohammed Shamte, representing Zanzibar, that they are going to surrender the coastal strip to Kenya, provided they are going to protect those Muslims. And that agreement is a treaty. It's an international treaty that specifically provides for, in our context, for the Kadhi'S court jurisdiction and the Kadhi'S court establishment, together with other things. It was in form of letters dated 5th October 1963. You can scroll. I have my own screens for them to follow. Yeah. There are so many. Yeah. Continue following. We are in 1963 Kenyatta-Shamte agreement. So in that agreement, it It was in form of letters, which states, I have the honor to propose the letter and your reply thereof shall constitute an agreement between our two governments. That is Jomo Kenyatta telling Shamte. And Shamte replied, I have the honor to confirm the contents of your letter and to accept your proposal that your letter and reply, this reply shall constitute an agreement. So that is an international agreement between Zanzibar and Kenya, between two presidents of two independent countries. So that agreement is an international treaty. An international treaty is superior to even the constitution of Kenya. It cannot be unilaterally abrogated by one party without being checked through the international avenues. In that agreement, the main provisions are that the people, number one, the free exercise of any creed or religion, and in particular, His Highness's subjects who are of Muslim faith and their descendants will at all times be accorded of complete freedom of worship and preservation of the religious buildings and institutions. And the jurisdiction of the Kadhi'S and all other Kadhi'S will extend to the determination of questions of Muslim law relating to personal status, for example, marriage, divorce, and inheritance in proceedings, which all parties profess the Muslim religion, and thirdly, administrative offices in predominantly Muslim areas shall, as far as reasonably practicable, be themselves Muslims. So these are the contents found in the letters between Jomo Kenyatta and Shamte, and they talk about the freedom of worship for the Muslims, and administrative officers in Muslim predominant regions shall, as far as practicable, be to Muslims. But most importantly is the jurisdiction of the Kadhi'S court. You see, the 1963 Constitution, the provisions of our jurisdiction is coming from this treaty. So whenever you have problems in interpretation, disputes in interpretations of the Constitution, the fallback should be this international treaty. We've been having challenges in interpretations of the Constitution. Here it is used to extend. It is used in a positive manner. In the current Constitution is used, and the jurisdiction of the Kadhi'S court has been problematic in defining our jurisdiction. It is very clearly and explicitly explained in the treaty between Shamte and Jomo Kenyatta. Personal status, for example, marriage, divorce, and inheritance, meaning all these fall in there, and these are just examples, and they are not limited to these. We can also do other parts, including personal status, which we are going to discuss more if time allows. So I've discussed that the treaty at the time when the Constitution was being changed, we are coming to a new Constitution. That was another phase. There was an attempt to try to remove it. According to the laws of treaties, you cannot, even through a Constitution of Kenya, remove the provision of an international treaty. That's how it is problematic. Fortunately, you are able to preserve it in the Constitution, albeit with some minor problems, as we're going to further discuss in this presentation. So in the old Constitution, the provisions that established the Kadhi'S court was section 66(1), and the provisions that gave its jurisdiction was section 66(5). That gave us the provision. Go to the slide with the Kadhi'S, Chief Kadhi'S of Kenya. Yeah, there. So those are the Chief Kadhi'S of Kenya since inception. Sheikh Abdul Rahman Sayyid Ahmad al-Sagaf was the first Chief Kadhi in 1897. It was just before even before independence, there was this first chief Kadhi, then Sheikh Muhammad Omar Bakor, Sheikh Suleiman Al-Khamis Said Al-Mazrui, Sheikh Al-Amin Ali bin Nafi Al-Mazrui, Sheikh Said Ali Jamal Al-Layl Al-Badawi, Sheikh Muhammad Qasim bin Rashid Al-Mazrui, Sheikh Abdullah Saleh Al-Farsi. From these ones, at least when we were very small children, we were able to see Sheikh Saleh Al-Farsi, Sheikh Nasir Muhammad Al-Nahdi. We were privileged to see him, to talk to him, to seek his advice. And Sheikh Muhammad Qasim Al-Mazrui worked with under him, and Sheikh Ahmed Hussein Al-Muhdar. So these were the chief Kadhis. But the Kadhis in Kenya are so many. And Dr. Abdul Qadir Hashim is working on research to have all of them and their history. And Sheikh Saleh Al-Farthi has written about the chief Kadhis, what they were doing, who are their students, who are their teachers, and so on and so forth. The Kadhis court, there was a time during 2007, just after the disputed 2007 national election, there was a problem. So one part of the problem, how it was going to be solved, was that we had to change this constitution. Then there was formed the CKRC, Constitution of Kenya Review in 2008. And this one provided for a roadmap and the legal framework to a new constitution. And there were so many work that were done. There were several drafts: the Bomas draft, the Wako draft, the Kilifi draft, the harmonized draft, the reviewed harmonized draft, and then the proposed constitution. So these were many different draft documents that were trying to change the constitution. And we know, as relates to our institution, the Kadhi'S Court is already there in section 66. But now, when we are doing the new constitution, under the Guy Commission, he tried to take views from the people themselves. And then they are going to go to the constitutional convention at the Bomas. And that's where people are then going to brainstorm. And there were a lot of problems, and there were a lot of challenges facing the Kadhi'S Court. There were many attempts to actually remove it. And that part of history is now past us, but it is important for law students and for all the Muslims to be able to understand and to appreciate. We will not talk, due to time constraints, a lot on that part, but suffice to say that some of the people who assisted the Kadhi'S Court to remain were probably not even Muslims themselves. The Guy draft, the Kenyans wanted a Kadhi that is superior, even before the 1963 constitution. They wanted it to have more powers, more jurisdiction, to hear not only personal status matters, but to also hear business matters, commercial matters, small claims matters. And also they had proposed in the Guy draft that there be the appellate Kadhi'S Court. Why, after a person is dissatisfied with the decision of a Kadhi, then the decision goes to the High Court, where the final decision is made by a judge who is not a Muslim, not conversant with Islamic law. So the proposal was, in that the first draft, the Guy draft, that we should have an appellate Kadhi'S Court. But that attempt failed because at the Bomas Convention, there could be no agreement. Then the matter was taken to the politicians, went to Naivasha and did the harmonized draft, and then they went again, did the revised harmonized draft, and then they went to Kilifi and did the Wako draft that was subjected to the banana and orange that failed, and then they came back to the committee of experts and did the final dispute and the final draft that was eventually passed in the 4th of August 2010 Constitution. The final one in that Constitution, the current one, was mainly to preserve the same one, but it is weakened in some case by adding and to submit to the jurisdiction of the Kadhi'S court. So they retained, essentially as it was in the 1963 constitution, without limiting it geographically so that it is applicable throughout the boundaries of the current Kenya, but it was limited now to another aspect where all parties profess the Muslim faith and submit to the jurisdiction. That, in my view, was an addition that was uncalled for. Nobody had called for it, the people had not given their opinions on that, but we don't know how it came in about. And it is one of the very problematic sub-articles of the Constitution, and we are probably going to explain more about that. So the Constitution was passed, fortunately, even with the problems, but with 68.5%, the Constitution was passed. Why they were opposing it, why the Muslims were supporting it, that is another discussion. The contents are in my presentation, but also we will not delve too much into it, except that most of the issues, most of the problems actually, I must say, is why this event is important. When, as a Muslim, you don't understand the importance of the functions of the Kadhi'S court, then you yourself, you can be participating in weakening it, even to the extent of removing it. You don't care about it. The people who actually increased that sub-article to limit the jurisdiction of the Kadhi'S court, you'll be surprised to know they're actually Muslim. The chairperson of this committee was a Muslim legal expert, a lawyer, and he found no problem with that without consultations, and that was put there. And the effect is that any person who thinks his case is weak, then he can say, I don't submit. And it just goes like that and frustrates the other party. As we are going to see, there are so many other judgments that are going to happen. But that is very dangerous to any Muslim to do, and that is not helpful. But if you understand the impact, you will do anything to do it. And some of the scholars, not Muslim scholars, who've written papers and research papers, were the ones who assisted the Muslims, together with Akina Lithome and the others, to be able to preserve the Kadhi'S courts. But ourselves, our brothers and sisters, without understanding the importance of this institution, have in a way been contributing to weakening or to damaging the reputation of the Kadhi'S court. And that's why it's important to understand the importance. We go to the legal framework. A Kadhi court is not a kangaroo court, as some lawyers will want us to believe. It is based in the Constitution, and the jurisdiction of any court is derived from the Constitution or statute. Statutes are laws of Kenya, the acts of parliament, and there are about 9 acts of parliament that support the Kadhi'S court. In their provisions, they have donated and given powers to the Kadhi'S court to be able to hear matters specific to Islamic law. So there's Article 169(1) establishes the Kadhi'S court. Article 170, sub-article 5, gives the jurisdiction. As Section 5 of the Kadhi'S Court Act, Cap 11 laws of Kenya. The Marriage Act number 4 relating to marriages. Our marriages are recognized under the marriage laws of Kenya. They're all consolidated in the Marriage Act, and they are recognized that they're not different from the other marriages that we done. You don't have to go to the Attorney General to have your marriage be recognized. That marriage is already recognized under the Act. The Muslim marriage rules, that gives specific rules to the operationalization of the marriage, the rules of the Marriage Act. Also, there are other rules. And then we have the Kadhi'S court rules of practice and procedure that Dr. Kadhi'S Hashim helped us to formulate. For many years, there is the substantive law, there's the act that just gives us the jurisdiction, but then there's this applicable law. The applicable law in the Kadhi'S courts is the Islamic law, Islamic family law. Where do we get it? We find it in the Kutub al-Fiqh, in the Quran and Sunnah. So essentially, Islamic law is being applied. Islamic family law, we just apply the Quran and Sunnah. We go where there are small details in Al-Minhaj and their translation and expound and the exegesis of those books and the other fiqhs that are there by the ulamas that have done. That is substantive law. In marriage, divorce, and inheritance, and custody, and waqf, and hiba, all those are according to Islamic law. So Islamic law is being applied. And that is not a small thing. It is not an insignificant thing. It is a very a big deal to Muslims that you can apply Islamic law in your life according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But then there is the Qanun al-Murafa'at, as they say in Arabic, the laws of procedure. For many years, since 1969 until very recently in 2020, we've been using the Civil Procedure Rules, Civil Procedure Act, Cap 21, Laws of Kenya, and the Civil Procedure Rules, which are very complex. They are not relevant to us. But the Kadhi'S Court Act said the rules of procedure should be rules of procedure of Islamic law. The rules of evidence in the Kadhi'S Court should be Islamic laws of evidence. But we had no rules of procedure specific for the Kadhi'S Court until 2020 when we got these rules. And then the Waqf Act number 8 of 2022 gave that jurisdiction to hear matters of a waqf. Before, you had to go to the High Court. An issue of waqf cannot be heard by the Kadhi'S Court. But now, when you go to the High Court, they will return those issues, those cases regarding waqf to be heard by the Kadhi'S Court. And then there's the Matrimonial Property Act, Section 3, the MPA number 49 of 2013, that when parties have divorced, two spouses have divorced, the laws applicable is MPA, but for Muslims, then they can either be heard by the magistrate court or be heard by the Kadhi'S Court under Section 3. And there are so many judgments regarding that. So we've talked about the history, we've talked about the challenges, we've talked about the legal framework. Now, I'll go to the jurisdiction, which is important in my view, and we have very limited time. The jurisdiction of Kadhi'S Court, you see if you remember, you followed in the Shamti agreement, the term used was to extend, and personal status was very clearly defined. In the current constitution, it is not clearly defined. Personal status is actually not defined at all. And it says that the jurisdiction of the Kadhi'S Court shall be limited to. So the focus is on limitation of the jurisdiction, personal status, marriage, divorce, inheritance, provided that all parties are Muslims and all parties submit to the jurisdiction of the court. So here there are apostrophes. Personal status, apostrophe. My observation is that these are different things. Personal status is different from marriage, it's different from divorce, it's different from inheritance. So it has to be given its meaning, and in the meaning, according to Islamic law, it's very clear. Those are issues, any other matter pertaining from the life of a Muslim, from the time he's born to the time he's dying. All those matters are personal status. So the children issue is a personal status. The issue of custody is a personal status matter. The issue if a person wants to be buried is a personal status matter. And so many other issues that people have been trying to take it out, and there are cases of that. So that is what you are saying about the issue of personal status. To be at the relevance of the Kadhi'S court today is that this depends on that dichotomy between extension and limitation. It is very relevant today, probably more than any other time, for a robust advancement of the Kadhi'S court. You see it, your personal life from the moment you're born to the moment you died is controlled by Sharia. It's not enough that you pray and you call yourself a Muslim, but you don't want to be controlled, or in case of dispute on your affairs of marriage, divorce, custody, you don't want to be controlled by Sharia. Then you're not true Muslim. You say, I don't want to submit, I don't want this decision. Then you're not a fully Muslim. Or decision that is all the Kadhi'S have said that, ulamas have said that, you say, no, I don't want to. This decision of inheritance is not fine. The decision of work is not fine. So Islam is not just about going to Hajj, making prayers, fast, so on, but actually exactly how you live your day, how you live with your wife and children, and that's all about this, how it is important and it is relevant to this day, so that you can appreciate and be able to support this Kadhi'S court. Also, the stability of any community starts from the family, and that is starts with the marriage, how you choose your wife, how you are going to prosper, and then how you are going to take care of those children, whether you are with your wife or whether there's a divorce. And in the event you're divorced or your parents are deceased, how that wealth is going to be distributed. So that is important, and that shows the relevance of the Muslims, of this Kadhi'S court, where whenever there's a dispute, then that's where this one will go to fall. So we want to preserve the family units, so that the families, in cases of divorce, the children are taken care of, and they don't become chokoras, they are going to become stable citizens, and we encourage marital education and so on and so forth. But more importantly, that we have a very strong and stable and empowered and probably rich Muslim community. And that goes through the inheritance. When we resolve inheritance disputes, we are unlocking potential. A lot of money that are hindered, that are blocked from operation because of the dispute. We have a case that probably is going on for 20 years in the courts. That money is not properly used, or is being used by one person and the others are very poor, while that money should have been unblocked. Once you do a distribution, everybody goes his share, then you see they're going to be able to use that money and properly, and they're going to empower themselves. When only few people are going to use their money, only one person, the administrator and the family, for 10 years, 20 years, there's a dispute and it's not resolved, then that money just stays either unblocked or it's not properly used, and leads to a lot of poverty in the community. So we unlock a lot of economic potential, but we also encourage families to be able to work together, even with others, to be able to further use their inheritance so that they can increase their wealth and make their community more. It promotes cohesion, and the Kadhi'S court is a symbol of unity among the Muslims. And the Kadhi'S court is very popular. It's very popular with the judiciary. It's one of the most expeditious in its resolution of parliament, of decisions. there have been consistent increase in the number of the cases recorded in our courts, and the rate of, we call it the CCR, the case clearance rate, is very high at 98% this year. We expect it to be more than 100%. That means the average time of disposal is actually about 5 days, 5 days sometimes, or 3 months at the most, the case is going to be resolved. And that's why a lot of people, it's very simple to approach the court in comparison to the other cases, the other courts, and also very fast in resolution of the case. So our role, the challenge I want to give to the students present here today, is to learn about this more. Today we are just giving you Kiswahili tunasema chachu ya kujua, so that you learn more about this institution, and for the law students to do research, and for the other Muslim stakeholders to organize such fora and many others that can educate and sensitize the Muslims on the importance of this very important institution in our life. The time has gone. There are so many other things I wanted to say to demonstrate the challenges we are having, legal, technical challenges that people, scholars in South Africa, where in Kenya we've been unable to protect ourselves. As a Kadhi, when you put a decision and then the High Court says you are overruled, this is squashed, it's set aside. But there are scholars like J.D. Mujuzi, professor in Western Cape, South Africa, who's written a paper criticizing the decisions of the High Court or Court of Appeal, who have probably told us that we are not right in our decisions. That is the work of the scholars here, who can do more research. When you find a decision that is not a passion to Islamic law, then you can do more research and share it and publish it, like many other scholars who have done. Then that will be your contribution, part of the contribution you're doing. And lastly, do not take it very personal. That you act, for example, of marriage or losing a case, and then you make the whole problem that the Kadhi'S court is bad because I've lost a case, because I was, for example, mishandled at the case. That is an individual case that has happened. I've seen an example of one person or two on Facebook, and then they're criticizing and generalizing a mistake and making it a very big issue when that is a very small issue. Somebody married not according to Islamic law, and that decision of his, because of his love, or because of for satisfying the love he has for, let's say, 10 years, 5 years, but that has had an impact of changing the laws for Muslims in Kenya, probably for decades. That is a responsibility you have to take when you're marrying, when you're criticizing the Kadhi'S court and so forth. He married a person who was already married and not divorced. And then now he's dead, they go to court, and then they want the money, the wealth to be distributed. The court says, you are not married, you are not entitled. And then they go to another court, say, how can you discriminate? This is the values of the constitution and so on. But the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, any person who sleeps with another lady who, without marrying her, he is a prostitute, they cannot inherit each other. That is the Rasul who said. But because of your act and not following the Rasul, you've been able, through your act, indirectly to change the constitution. So it's not a very personal, individual choice that you're making. If that choice has ramifications to all the Muslims, subhanallah, that challenge is very, very big. You must say astaghfirullah, and we should pray for him. I don't know how he's going to make it before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe we'll engage in the question and answer session with more. Thank you very much for your attentive listening to us. I just hope I've been of a little benefit. Shukran lakum wa husnul istismaikum wa jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallahu khair. Honorable Sheikh Abdul Halim Athman, the Chief Qadi of the Republic of Kenya, who is the main reason to why we are here today, understanding the Kadhi'S Court. We interact with the Kadhi'S Court as early as in the primary syllabus of our learning stages in life at the Kenyan curriculum. We come to know more of the Kadhi'S Court in the high school curriculum, the inheritance, marriage, family as a key institutional area, and also at the university level, those studying Islamic studies, there is an aspect of understanding what Kadhi'S Court is all about. So whatever our Sheikh has shared with us today is just but a nutshell. We still have a lot to learn. We still have more to go deeply and understand what does it mean to have a Kadhi'S Court recognized in the Republic of Kenya. So there is a request, our chief guest, some of the students who are texting, if you can share the presentation with them later so that they can go through and understand and maybe come up with something from it, inshallah. I'm being reminded by our colleagues from the University of Nairobi, Parklands campus, the Qadi's son, Ibrahim, he's a student of law there. And some of them, when they saw how the Chief Qadi was speaking here, they were texted and said, we now understand why the son is humble even in chapter level, takbir. So our Chief Qadi is a role model. I don't know the son, but through the good things that they are being spoken about him, I can say that our Chief Qadi is indeed a role model. In recognition of some of the guests that joined us as the program was ongoing, Sheikh Badru Ja'far, the AMUK, the Association of Muslims in Universities and Colleges Shura Committee, the chairperson is here, and the team, the Msaun Executive Council, the leaders are here, the chaplain of the University of Nairobi, our Imam, Sheikh Muhammad Abdullah is also with us. So thank you so much for joining us. So I now want to welcome, the Chief Qadi has said we are going to have that interaction session where we have some questions posted by you guys some days before the event. So he's gonna tackle the questions as we go on with the program. So allow me now, acha nitumie lugha ya Kiswahili, kumkaribisha Sheikh Mbarak Awes, Dr. Sheikh Mbarak Awes, Sheikh Jamaluddin, I've taken note. Dr. Sheikh Mbarak Awes from one of the largest Islamic centers in South B. I think you know Masjid Huda in Nairobi, South B in Nairobi. So he's gonna speak to us. So let us welcome him. But before he comes, we can see yani tumechoka. Like the faces can show that. So maybe we can just stand up for a minute and stretch, then sit down. Huh? Ya Jamaa. Okay. That is enough. So tafadhali ya Sheikh.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Kwanza kabisa tunamshukuru Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kutujumuisha katika jukwaa kama hili, lakini vile vile tunawashukuru wote ambao kwamba wamesababisha mjumuiko kama huu wakiongozwa na YMA, lakini vile vile kushirikiana na ofisi ya Chief Kadhi na taasisi ya AMUK na wote wale ambao kwamba walikuwa ni sababu. Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala ijalie katika mizani hasanati zao inshallah. Nadharia ambao kwamba mara nyingi tunaisikia, vijana wa leo ni viongozi wa kesho. Nadharia makosa kwa kwamba tunaipinga vikali, kwa sababu usawa ni vijana wa leo ni viongozi wa leo, sio viongozi wa kesho. Kisha mwambia kijana wewe ni kiongozi wa kesho, na mwambia tulia, huna majukumu kwa sasa, cheza, poteza wakati mpaka utakapofika wakati wako. Kwa hivyo nyinyi ndio viongozi wa leo, nyinyi ndio viongozi tunawatarajia. Na Al-Imam Subki alikuwa akiwaambia vijana, akiwaona, unaona mara nyingi katika wafuasi waliozunguka mitume walikuwa ni vijana. Sayyidina Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala atuambia fama amana bihi illa dhurriyyah min qaumi, dhurriyyah, vijana. Innahum fityatun amanu birabbihim, waliongoza katika kueneza tauhidi. Katika Ashabul Kahf tunasoma kila siku ya Ijumaa, innahum fityatun amanu birabbihim. Bali imekuja katika baadhi ya akhbar kwa Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam amesema wa nusurtu bishabab, nimenusuriwa na vijana. Kwa hivyo wote walikuwa wamemzunguka Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam, alikuwa na umri mkubwa, wanasema maulama alikuwa na miaka 36, wote walikuwa vijana. Tumetajiwa kwa Mus'ab ibn Umair alikuwa balozi wa kwanza wa Uislamu, lakini kabla ya Mus'ab kupelekwa Madina walikuja nuqaba, waliwakilisha Ansar, wakampa bai'a Mtume sallallahu alayhi wasallama. Utashangaa ukisikia mkubwa wao alikuwa ni As'ad ibn Zurara, mkubwa wao kiumri. As'ad ibn Zurara alikuwa na miaka 16, lakini akawa ni sababu ya kuingia nuru ya imani na Uislamu katika mji wa Madina. Hivi ndivyo alivyokuwa Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam akijenga vijana katika uongozi. Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam alipoingia Madina amekuja na muhajirin 450, katika Ansar walioslimu walikuwa 500, yani watu 950 ambao kwamba ni Waislamu ndani ya mji wa Madina, mji unaobeba watu 8,000 mpaka 9,000 kama wanavyosema maulama. Yani walikuwa kama 10% ya mji kama ule. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam akiangalia hali ya Madina, anaona soko kubwa lililoko pale ni soko la Banu Qainuqa. Banu Qainuqa ni Mayahudi. Maduka 300 ndani ya soko kama lile yanauza dhahabu na silaha ni ya Mayahudi. Kwa hivyo maana yake nini? Economy ama uchumi uko katika mkono wa adui. Mtume sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam pale alijenga vijana ambao kwamba watakuza upande huo na watakuwa ni viongozi. Akamjenga Abdurrahman ibn Auf ambaye kwamba alikuwa ni bilionea wa masahaba, alikuwa kijana wa miaka 20 na alimjenga Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan. Wao pekee yao ndio wakaruhusiwa kuingia katika soko kama hilo, kwa sababu walikuwa na akili ambazo kwamba ni commercial, ambazo kwamba zimejaa katika upande kama ule wa uchumi. Kwa hivyo hivi ndivyo alivyokuwa Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameingia Madina, ameona mazingira ni mabaya, maradhi ni mengi. Tunajua sote katika tarehe na sera kwa babake Mtume alifariki Madina kwa sababu ya maradhi aliyokuwa Madina, na kila anaingia alikuwa akiugua. Yote imesababishwa na nini? Kwa sababu wadi Bathan ndani ya Madina ilikuwa inazuia maji, ina athiri ama inasababisha kupatikana virusi vibaya ambavyo kwamba vinaua. Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam alimtumia kijana katika vijana waliomzunguka, Talha ibn Ubaidillah, miaka 20 na kitu, ndo alotengeza mazingara kama yale. Ile wadi Bathan ilikuwa ni maradhi, Mtume akatuambia wadi Bathan min awdiyatil janna, ni katika wadi za janna. Madina ambayo kwamba ilikuwa ni yasababisha watu kupatwa na maradhi na kufa, ikageuka ikawa sasa ni dawa. Mtume akatuambia biturbati ardina biriqati ba'dina yushfa saqimuna, kwa kupitia mchanga wa ardhi yetu na mate mmoja wetu anapata shifa mmoja wetu. Kwa hivyo mifano ni mingi. Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam namna gani alikuwa akijenga mashababu katika uongozi wa kila nyanja. Muda hutoshi na mimi sitapenda kurefusha kwa sababu imezungumzwa mingi na tunataka kusikia mingi zaidi kutoka kwa Maulana Al-Qadhi katika kipindi cha maswali na majibu. Hivyo yote haya hayawezi kupatikana ikiwa hatutakuwa na taatul amir, kumtii kiongozi. Uongozi utapatikana kwa daraja zozote zile na ngazi zozote zile, lakini kama hatotiiwa kiongozi hakutapatikana natija ya uongozi kama ule. Na ndio maana Mola Subhanahu wa Ta'ala akatuambia, ya ayyuhalladhina amanu atii'u Allaha wa atii'u ar-rasula wa ulil amri minkum, enyi mlioamini mtiini Mola Subhanahu wa Ta'ala na mtii Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallama, wa ulil amri minkum, na wenye amri kwenu nyinyi viongozi. Baadhi ya maulama wakatuambia waliokusudiwa hapa ni viongozi, wengine wakatuambia ni maulama, lakini kauli yenye nguvu ni wote wawili, na kila wakikusanya ni aula zaidi, kwa sababu ukiangalia Mtume alikuwa ni kiongozi na ni msomi. Ukiangalia Sayyidina Abubakar, Sayyidina Umar, khulafa ar-rashidun wote walikuwa ni viongozi na wakati huo walikuwa ni wasomi. Kwa hivyo wa ulil amri minkum. Na ndio maana al-Imam an-Nawawi akatuambia, ajma'a al-ulama'u, kumepita ijma'i, wamekubaliana wote maulama ala wujubi ta'ati ulil amri, kwa wajibu wa kutii wale ambao kwamba ni viongozi kati yetu. Kisha akasema illa fi maasi, isipokuwa katika maasi. Siku zote la ta'ata li makhluqin fi ma'siyati al-khaliq, hakuna kumtii kiumbe katika kumaasi Mola subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Katika visa vyenye mafunzo, moja katika maulama wa Iraq anajulikana kama Sheikh Mahmud al-Khattabi, huyo alikuwa akifanya kazi katika jeshi. Siku moja mkubwa wake katika jeshi akampa amri ya kufanya maasi, akakataa kabisa. Mkubwa akakasirika, akamwambia huoni nyota hizi? Alikuwa na nyota 5, alikuwa ni colonel. Akamwambia huoni nyota 5, huoni hizi nyota? Akamwambia naziona. Na wewe waziona nyota zile kwa mbinguni? Akamwambia naam. Akamwambia zile ni ngapi? Akamwambia siwezi kuzihesabu. Akamwambia siwezi kumuasi mwenye nyota zisizohesabika kwa sababu ya wewe mwenye nyota 5. La ta'ata li makhluqin fi ma'siyati al-khaliq. Kwa hivyo tutii Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Katika hadithi iliyopokea Sayyidina al-Imam Muslim kutoka kwa Sayyidina Abu Huraira radhiallahu anhu, anasema man ata'ani faqad ata'a Allah, atakayenitii mimi atakuwa mtii Mola subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa man asani ama man ya'sini faqad asa Allah, na atakayeniasi mimi atakuwa amemasi Mola subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa man ata'a waliya al-amr faqad ata'ani wa man asa waliya al-amr faqad asani, na atakayemtii yule ambaye kwamba ni kiongozi atakuwa amenitii mimi, na atakayemuasi vile vile atakuwa ameniasi mimi. Wamepewa nafasi kama hiyo kwa ajili ya kutuelekeza, kwa ajili ya kutuongoza. Sisi tuwapatie support yote, sisi tuwapatie bali hata maombi yetu. Sayyidina Fudail ibn Iyadh katika mabwana wakubwa salaf radhiallahu anhu alikuwa akisema, law anna li da'watan mustajaba, lau ningekuwa na dua moja tu ambayo kwamba najua itatakabaliwa, haiwezi kurudishwa na Mola subhanahu wa ta'ala, asema ma ja'altuha illa fi al-amir, singejalia isipokuwa kwa kiongozi. Kwa sababu gani? Asema nikijiombea mimi, ni mimi peke yangu nimepata, lakini nikimwombea kiongozi amepata yeye na wale ambao kwamba wako chini yake ambao kwamba anaongoza. Mwenyezi Mungu subhanahu wa ta'ala uhifadhi uongozi wetu kwa ngazi zote, lakini vile vile Mwenyezi Mungu subhanahu wa ta'ala tupe nguvu kuheshimu mahakama hii. Tumemsikia Maulana al-Qadhi akisema, yasikitisha unapomwona Muislamu anatoka ama anakhalifu amri iliyotoka ama hukumu iliyotoka katika mahakama ya kadhi, anatafuta mahakama zingine ambazo kwamba si za sharia. Umeambiwa urudi kwa Mola subhanahu wa ta'ala, urudi kwa Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Umepewa hukumu ya sharia ya Mola subhanahu wa ta'ala na Mtume wake sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wewe uhitaki unakwenda katika sharia nyingine. Falyahdhari alladhina yukhalifuna an amrihi an tusibahum fitnatun au yusibahum adhabun alim. Nikimalizia, naam, unaweza kukhtalifiana na mtu katika masala ya kifikihi, masala ya kisheria, lakini haikuhalalishi wewe kumkosea heshima, haikuhalalishi wewe kuvuka mipaka yako na kwenda kumtukana. Tumeona katika miaka iliyopita wengi, hasa katika waliokuwa katika umri wenu vijana, wametumika vibaya sana katika kutukana viongozi, katika kutukana viongozi, sababu vijana mashallah kuna unfuani shabab, damu inachemka. Kwa hivyo mara nyingi ukiingia katika mitandao ya kijamii, katika Facebook, katika Instagram, katika vyombo mbalimbali, utaona namna gani watu wanatoa maneno makali katika swala kama hili. Hilo linapelekea katika kuvunja swafu. Mola subhanahu wa ta'ala tumbia, law kharaju fikum ma zadukum illa khabala wala awda'u khilalakum yabunakum alfitna wa fikum sama'una lahu. Wale mabwana ambao kwamba walikataa kutoka na Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Mola subhanahu wa ta'ala asema wangetoka kati yenu, wangetia fitna na wakagawanya zile safu ambazo kwamba zilikuwa zimekamilika kwa nyinyi. Na hata ukiangalia katika mpangilio wa Qur'an al-Karim utaona kuna sura inaitwa suratus Saf na baada yake suratul Munafiqun. Kwa nini imekuja suratul Munafiqun baada ya suratus Saf? Saf ni line, safu kama tunavyosema katika Kiswahili, kwa sababu hakuna wanaovunja safu kama wanafiki. Kwa hivyo kuwa makini, sije mtu akakutoa katika mfumo wa kisheria akupeleka katika sifa ya nifaqi ikasababisha fitna katika jamii. Masahaba Mtume sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Mtume aliwaambia la yusalliyanna ahadukum al-asra illa fi bani Quraidha, asiswali mmoja wenu alasiri isipokuwa kwa bani Quraidha. Ilikuwa ni safari na Mtume sallallahu alayhi wasallam ashatangulia kutuambia idha kharaja thalatha, katika hadithi iliyopokewa na Imam Abu Daud, wakitoka watu watatu fi safari, katika safari, falyuamiru ahadahum, wamfanye mmoja wao ni amiri. Lazima kuwe na kiongozi, hata mkiwa ni watu watatu lazima kiongozi apatikane. Wametoka na wana kiongozi, wamefika katika sehemu wanahitajia kuswali alasiri, wakati wa alasiri unakwenda kutoka, lakini na vile vile wameambiwa usiswali alasiri mpaka wafike kwa Banu Quraidha. Tutafanyaje? Inna salata kanat ala almu'minina kitaban mawquta, swala ni wakati faradhi iliyowekewa wakati, tutaka tuswali kabla alasiri itoke. Wengine wanasema lakini Mtume amesema tusiswali isipokuwa kwa Banu Quraidha. Kwa hivyo hata kama tutafika huko ishai, sisi alasiri tutaiswali huko nje ya wakati. Wakagawanyika. Naam, waliختلفiana katika rai, waliختلفiana katika masuala ya sheria. Wengine wakaswali pale, wengine wakasema hatuswali, tutaswali kule mbele, lakini hakuna alompiga vita kiongozi. Hakugawanyika wakasema sisi tutarudi, hatuendelee. Na kiongozi kama huyu walishikana, wakaenda wakatimiza lile ambalo kwamba Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam amewatuma kwa ajili yake. Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala wahifadhi nyote, wajalie inshallah ni viongozi ambao kwamba mtakao hudumikia umma na kutanguliza na kuinua katika daraja za juu, lakini vile vile wahifadhi viongozi wetu na mashaka zetu katika kuhudumikia jamii ya Kiislamu. Innahu waliyu dhalika wal qadiru alayhi. Wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi.
Wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran za dhati Sheikh Dr. Mbarak Awis kwa maneno yako mazito na maneno yaliyo na uzito wa aina yake. Jambo moja tulipokuwa bado tunaulizana na mwenzangu, unajua lipi kuhusu Sheikh Mbarak, Dr. Mbarak Awis, kwa anasema kwamba Sheikh anatambulika kwa maneno yenye ufasaha, takbira, na maneno laini na maneno ya aina yake. Yani Kiswahili anachotumia doktor utadhani alienda Tanzania kusomea somo la Kiswahili. Ni mtu wa Mombasa. Hata watu wa Mombasa wana ufasaha namna hiyo. Kwa hiyo shukran Sheikh. Na if you want to believe on this, you can go to the Friday khutbas in Masjid Huda on Friday. Ukitoka hapo kama hujashika misamiati mitatu minne, basi wewe mbuzulala. Thank you. Shukran jazilan ya Sheikh. Now it's my honor to invite senior lecturer at the University of Nairobi, a lawyer, and indeed I'm proud because he's my lecturer and I have his exam on Tuesday. Dr. Abdul Qadir Hashim, tafadhal ya Sheikh.
I didn't want to mention about exams, but you've opened the door. So, Muhammad, don't deduct for me minutes. If you deduct the minutes, you know what I'll do. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. You know, we are at the university and we're not supposed to talk about those issues, but he has opened the door and I've entered through the window. I want to thank first and foremost the young Muslim. I just want to ask a question. Muhammad, mark my words, don't count the minutes. Huh? Who amongst us remember Ansar Muslim, Mombasa? Ansar Muslim Youth. Only Sheikh Sufyan and Sheikh Salim. So I want to thank very much young Muslim for this gracious occasion. It's a revival of what was happening in the 70s and 80s. Those who, Sheikh Salim and Sheikh brother here, this is the kind of attitude, these are the kind of activities which we want. We have a proverb in Arabic which says, فَاقِدُ شَيْءٍ لَا يُعْطِيهِ. If you don't have something, you cannot give it to someone else. You as a leader, If you don't have those attitudes, then you cannot give them to the others. So such are the gatherings which we pray. We want to thank very much young Muslims, the Fora, the Muslim Fora, and all who have organized. Actually, personally, I'm very happy because I've seen leadership even in the organization of this hall. You see how it is labeled. Everyone, there's a label for Sheikh Tariq, there's a label for Sheikh Abdul Latif, and so on and so forth. It shows how professional, young Muslims and those who have organized this occasion, and that is what we want, to be. We want to go back where we were. Much has been said by our brothers, our sheikhs here. We have a lot of heritage, very rich culture, but unfortunately, for some reasons, because of those gaps, we have left the culture of respect, what Sheikh Mubarak has said, and the other sheikhs. The respect of recognizing the other. So on that vein, I thank again very much all the organizers. There's also another Arabic saying which says, La yufta wa malikun fil madina. There is no fatwa, there is no if Malik is in Medina. I'm honored and humbled to stand before my sheikhs here, my colleagues, and I don't think I have to give anything much, because I can not only Imam Malik, I can see Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal with the Slima. Hanbal is there, I can see Imam Shafi is there, I can see Imam Malik is there, I can see Imam Abu Hanifa, Al-Imam Al-Azam is there. They are all here. So we are very much humbled to be before them. My dear students, my dear brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters, we need to revive our culture of reading, our culture of benefiting from the others, the culture of diversity. And I think much has been said by our sheikhs here, our brothers. And if you have a pen, please, and a paper, just write that word diversity, and then we'll come to it later. Why diversity? Sheikh Mubarak always, the last parting shot, he mentioned about ikhtilaf, of Sahabas. Sahabas were differing while the Prophet was alive. And some of them actually were even insulting others. You remember the story of Bilal, the Sahabi who went and insulted Bilal. So they were not angels, they were human beings like us. They differed even before the Prophet Muhammad, in front of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the issue of difference should not be an issue for us. We have a culture. Read about our history of Prophet, our Prophet, beloved Prophet. Read the history and culture of our companions. Read. We need to read and go and digest, the cultures, the civilization. We talk about those dynasties, Banu Umayyah, Banu al-Abbas, until the Ottoman Empire. Read. Let's go and read and try to get and benefit and see where we went wrong. Today, one of the challenges we have is branding. Before even you want to hear an opinion from your colleague or from your sheikh or from any sheikh, number one, you look at his appearance. Muhammad has mentioned Sheikh Jamaluddin appearance. So already if you see the attire of Jamaluddin, already you have branded him. He's from this particular thought or thinking, and therefore whatever he says is wrong. Look at Sheikh Mubarak always, the way you see a heart like mine, this one, you already branded him, and so on and so forth. Why? And we have a rich culture of diversity. All the four Imams, which today we remember them and we revere them. Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, who is the first Imam. Al-Imam Malik, Al-Imam Shafi, Al-Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. All of this, let's go and read their history. And just to remind you, there are darsas by Sheikh Jamaluddin, which were announced on Friday about Hayat Sahaba. I hope in future we will go beyond the Sahabas. We will go to the Imam, we will go to others so that we can learn and see how they were interacting. Imam Abu Hanifa, Al-Imam Al-Azam, he was the first Imam. After that, we know that history came Imam Malik. Imam Malik was the teacher of Imam Shafi. Imam Shafi was the teacher of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. But look at how they interacted. They differed. They are human beings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, if Allah wished, we could all of us become ummah wahida. But for some reasons, for some wisdom, He has made us different. Different. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم لتعارفوا, so that you learn, so that you know each other, so that you appreciate. He might be different, he or she might be from a different religion, from a different faith, different of opinion. We have to appreciate, the other. Imam Shafi'i, one of the things which he said, ما جادلت عالما إلا غلبته. I have not ever went into a dialogue with an alim, a learned person, except I overcome him. And the other side, the opposite, I have ما جادلني جاهل إلا غلبني. Another saying of Imam Shafi'i, he says, whenever I argue with a person, I always give him the benefit of the doubt. And I think that he is right. He or she is right, I'm wrong. Where are we from these cultures? We always brand people. So let us look at the history quickly because of time. How these imams, great imams, they used to live together, they used to interact, they used to respect the issue of diversity, the issue of respect. For example, Imam Shafi was talking about Imam Malik. يقول هنا إذا ذكر العلماء فمالك النجم. Imam, the student of Malik, Imam Shafi say, إذا ذكر العلماء فمالك النجم. When scholars are being mentioned, then Imam Malik is a star. Look at other Ahmad bin Hanbal, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, rahmatullah alayhim jami'an. What does he say about his teacher, Imam Shafi'i? قدم الشافعي فوضعنا على المحجة البيضاء. When Shafi'i came, he brought us to a very clear cloud, very knowledgeable era. كان الفقه قفلا على آله. Fiqh was closed. When Imam Shafi'i, he came and opened it, and so on and so forth. So we need to benefit from what another saying here. Ahmad bin Hanbal is saying, لولا الشافعي ما عرفنا الفقه الحديث. If it was not Shafi, then we could not. And then look at the tolerance, look at the respect. One of the incidents, Imam Shafi went and visited his student, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, who was sick. This is narrated by the son of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. He said Imam Shafi came to visit his student while he was sick. The moment Imam Shafi went in, despite the fact that Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal was sick, he went and kissed Imam Shafi's forehead. Where are we from this? And they differ. They have different opinions. One of the incidents also, Imam Ahmad went and visited Imam Shafi. We know that Shafi do qanut. And these are not issues to discuss because scholars have written a lot. Whether you do qanut, whether you don't do. Nowadays, apparently qanut is being held throughout. So Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal believes, one of his teachings or beliefs is that he doesn't, accept that qanut should be done after Fajr. But when he went and visited Imam Shafi, he did qanut. And the students were asking him, Imam, you don't subscribe to that opinion of doing qanut. He said, I'm in the house of my teacher. I have to respect. So students, I don't need to take much time on that. Number one is diversity. Number two is respect. Let us learn to respect each other because we have a lot of issues nowadays. In fact, one of the major challenges is that we don't respect one another at our level, at our peers level, at our scholars level, and so on and so forth. Imam Qari here recited, and I think Muhammad has asked about that question, when he recited the Quran. You see, even the Quran which we recite today, which we believe in, it was not revealed like this. And I think we know the history. Differences of opinion, even in the Quran itself. We have how many qira'at, how many recitation do we have? 7, 9, and so on and so forth. One of the recitations was done by our brother here, the Imam. So difference of opinion even in the Quran itself, let alone, the qira'at. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he was asked about the different qira'ats, he accepted, he acknowledged, he adopted. So starting from the Quran, coming to our daily lives, you find that it's very important to, number one, to appreciate diversity. We are different in terms of our thinking. We are different in terms of our minds, in terms of our attitude. We need to change, actually. One of the things which we need to do is to change our thinking. We change our attitudes. The issue of shabab, and I don't mean the other shabab from the other area. Shabab, you. The issue of shabab, I think there's a lot of literature on that. I don't need to emphasize and repeat, but you are the future. Years before we were sitting like you. We pray, inshallah ta'ala, years to come, you come and sit here and you become better than us. Students of Imam Malik, they used to say, كُنَّا نَرَاهُ كُلَّ يَوْمٍ يَزِيدُ عَنْ سَابِقِهِ. We used to see Imam Malik, who is a star, according to Imam Shafi, every day he's better than the day before. In terms of knowledge, in terms of delivery, in terms of appearance. In fact, we are told Imam Malik, one of the best places where he will, take the proper attire and even the perfumes is when he's doing the dastas. So the students used to appreciate and say, كُنَّا نَرَاهُ كُلَّ يَوْمٍ يَزِيدُ عَنْ سَابِقِهِ. We need to change. We need to improve. And we are lucky here, students, my brothers and sisters, you are not like the ones who have not been privileged to get the education. There are others, a number of them who have sought to be here, I don't mean only University of Nairobi, but at this high learning institution, because Allah has given you that privilege. And remember, it's amana, it's a trust. We always remind our students here, please leave the stereotypes outside there. Because problems will be there forever. Mention any problem, any issue which we Muslims are struggling now. It was there before ages. It is now with us. It will be there forever. So, are we going to change? We need to change. So remember you have that privilege. And also remember that we are khalifas. And I don't mean khilafah, don't mark my words. I mean khalifa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you that vicegerency, that trust, that amana. You don't need to be a doctor. You don't need to have masters. In fact, even if you are, for students I can see here from secondary schools, it's not a must for you to have a degree. If you have, well and good. It's not a must for you to have masters or doctorate. Because all these names which you have had, Osama bin Zaid, Musa bin Umair, all these shababs, they have not gone to the university. They didn't have degrees, but they have done miracles. So believe in yourself. Inni ja'ilun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. You are a khalifa. Whether you are undergraduate, whether you are postgraduate, and you have a risala. One of your brothers here said, I think is this one about character. Be a khalifa. And time will not allow. But just taking the example of one of my brothers here, sheikhs, who mentioned about the university, I think it's Sheikh Jamal, the university lecturer who became a Muslim. This place we are standing here, I was before Sheikh Muhammad Abdullah chaplain, I was the chaplain. And one of my ambitions was to have a mosque in this campus. Sheikh Abdul Halim said, "Awad there, you have to be independent, you have to be bold." We believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who brings provision. Allahu wa razaqah. And with all those disclaimers, we had that, I'm not saying myself alone, but with other Muslim students by that time. I'm talking about 2005, when I was the chaplain. One of the dreams, one of the ambitions which we had is to have a mosque. And this particular here, before this building has been built. We went upside down, but for some reasons, maybe it was beyond us, and maybe the university already had a vision of doing this story building here. We didn't succeed. But alhamdulillah, we didn't have a mosque, but today we're having sessions where we interact and exchange ideas. So we need to appreciate, we need to respect one another. I want to make one recommendation. It's very good to have lectures like these ones, congregations at a bigger level, but it will be better, and particularly I'm addressing the law students who are here, because the issue is about Kadhi'S, to have small workshops. There are many well-wishers, young Muslim and others here, who will help you. We need to build our capacity. We need to, build our skills. It's good to meet once in a while, annually, maybe biannually, in these groupings. But let us plan for specialized workshops, looking at the Kadhi'S. Do you know that the majority of lawyers, advocates who are appearing before the Kadhi'S are non-Muslims? Do you know that students who are learning Sharia now, they are non-Muslims? What does it tell you? 10 years from now, we will have advocates appearing, overwhelming, and then we come and say, nowadays, advocates, the government, blah, 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 we are doing blame game. You know that the number of Muslim students who are taking Sharia here, in this country, they are non-Muslims? So where are we heading to? Let us have specialized. It's not only Sharia, for information. Do you know that lecturers who are lecturing our own language, Swahili, they're not from our areas? I'm not saying discrimination. Do you know that lecturers who are teaching Islamic studies here, they're not from among us? Why? Because we don't want to study. We don't want to trouble ourselves. I want to do BCom. I want to go to work on a bank. And you leave this space. So at the end of the day, even our language, I mean Swahili, which we were born in, is taught by people not from the region. And mark my words, I'm not discriminating, I'm not insulting anyone. I'm saying the blame is ours because we have left our culture. We have other priorities. The only thing we'll do, we'll come and blame. Oh, nowadays, Islamic studies is being taught by Christians. Nowadays, we have many lawyers who are non-Muslims and they are going in the Kadhi'S. But where were you with all those opportunities? So let us, brothers and sisters, without taking much of our time, let us change our minds. Let us change our thinking. Let us benefit. Let's go back to our culture. Try and see our heritage, how we can benefit. Al-Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, in his celebrated book, I'lam al-Muwaqi'in, he has a section actually on that. تغير الفتوى بتغير الزمان والمكان. Even fatwas change, from time to time. Not only fatwas, but many other issues. So we need to appreciate that. We need to change. We need to move actually from one way. We don't have the culture of learning, of reading, of respecting the other, of acknowledging diversity. Once you subscribe to a particular thought, then already you are branded as, and you're excommunicated, to use the other words from other faiths. So please, and you can see from the logo of Young Muslim, changing lives for the better. So brothers and sisters, I want to end with that cutting short. Let us change our attitude. Let us change our thinking. And we give the right to the other. The right to, to hear, to listen from the other. The right to wrong. One of the stories Sheikh Jamal has mentioned, Sheikh Mubarak, about the Bani Qurayza. There was an incident where two Sahabas traveled, and I think I'm just repeating, we know that incident. When they didn't find water, one of them did tayammum and prayed. The other one, he was not satisfied. He went and looked for water. After he got water, he did the wudu and then prayed. When they came to the Prophet, what did the Prophet tell them? Were you right? Were you wrong? Said, Asabta sunnah. The one who you did the tayammum, this is the sunnah. And the one who repeated the prayer and did wudu, lakal ajr maratayn. Even scholars have gone and argued who is better. Is it the one who followed the sunnah or the one who got the the ajr or the reward marathon? I'll leave that one for another day. Shukran wa salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much, Doctor, for the wonderful words. I must say that I was humble enough not even to be closer to the podium when he was speaking. Yeah, kwa sababu sitaki kuchokoza nyuki, sija akaniuma siku ya Jumanne. So I gave you your minutes, Doctor. One of the things that Doctor mentioned, talabul ilm. It is a sad situation for us as youths. I want us to look at this auditorium. We have the high school students here. We have the high school students there. We have our invited guest on the front seat. Our university students have only occupied this session and that session. Where are we as the next ummah? Where are we? So this is a lesson for each one of us, a different high school, a different university level. Where are we? So we need to look into that. Talabul ilmu, this is something that it's not something that you can wake up in the morning and accomplish it in one day or one night or even 10 years and more. I can say that even our shuyukhs here, they are still learning. They are still learning where they are. So we really need to emphasize on that. Doctor also mentioned on the issue of the mosque at the university. That is something that even as at now as we speak, that is something that them sound leaders together with the office of our Imam, Sheikh Muhammad Abdullah, we are fighting for that. And we are just hopeful by the end of the year, we will have a decent praying place at the University of Nairobi main campus, inshallah. I've been told that we are going to have a short video being played, courtesy of the Young Muslim Association, on the renovation of the Chief Kadhi'S office in Mombasa, which was done I think some months ago. So the ICT personnel, I believe you guys are ready for that, so that we can see how YMA is changing lives for the best, not for the students alone, but also for the Islamic institution in the Republic of Kenya. So the ICT personnel, you can play the video. Kindly our ACT personnel make it a bit quick. We are running out of time. Okay, is it ready? We can, you can just state the video and we are gonna play it after the question and answer session. So right now it's another privilege for me to invite Sheikh Yassin Mahbub, the head of Islamic Affairs at the Young Muslim Association offices, so that he can take us through the question and answer session with the Chief Qadi. And we call it one-on-one with the Chief Qadi. Sawa sawa. You just look at your friend umwambie one-on-one with the Chief Qadi. Yeah, Jamaa, one-on-one with the Chief Qadi. Okay,
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Honorable Chief Qadi Sheikh Abdul Halim, Dr. Abdul Qadir Hashim, our Imam, Imam Jamaluddin, our Imam Sheikh Mubarak Awais, and our Imam Sheikh Salman Aslam, and our dear respected ulama who are in the crowd, our elders and esteemed students. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're all tired. Without wasting further time, alhamdulillah, we are going to be starting off the question and answer. First and foremost, my name is Muhammad Yassin. I am in charge of the Islamic Department of Young Muslim Association. We'll start our questions. Ustad, what opportunities do the law students have in the Kadhi'S court? The opportunities which are achievable in the Kadhi'S court.
The opportunities for law students in the Kadhi'S court. While as a student, there are opportunities for attachment. When you're fourth year, I think. So that is an opportunity that is probably there. Our law students would probably also want to aspire to be a Kadhi. To be a Kadhi, you must also possess another degree in Islamic law. And we have students who have both Islamic law degrees and the LLB degrees. And those are usually are better Kadhis. In future, we are going to see that probably most Kadhis will have both degrees. So there are opportunities to be a Kadhi while you're a student and even as you graduate. I think my most concern for students, for lawyers who eventually graduate as lawyers, law students, is on the aspect of research and the aspect of practice. Aspect of practice, like we've had, Muslims will want to be represented in court by Muslims, but they oftentimes choose to be represented by non-Muslims. How? When there are quite so many qualified practicing advocates of the High Court who are Muslims. So it is also the issue of character, the issue of performance, and the issue of interaction with our customers. As you graduate as law students, your priority should not just be financial. The cases in the Kadhi'S court might not have a lot of high fee notes, but they're very important. We wish to handle those cases. And also as students or as practitioners in the courts, then you are able to even advance, to assist the court to advance local jurisprudence in Islamic law in the courts, and to be vigorous even in the High Court or the Court of Appeal, to be able to argue in favor of the aspects of the High Courts that are going to develop and help this institution. But other than that, also in Nairobi here in Mombasa, the Muslim advocates, ladies and gentlemen who are practicing, they have their own organizations of Muslims, and they would aspire to want to offer like pro bono cases and to help the Kadhi'S courts, to help their customers who are Muslim to be able to access Kadhi'S court in support. So there are so many ways you can support the customers as well as the Kadhi'S court, and we've seen that happen in Nairobi and Mombasa and many other regions, that even as, not just as in the early stage of practice, even in future you can be able to chip in, to do your part, to give back to the Kadhi'S court as an advocate of the High Court in Kenya. Another thing, as an advocate, I think if you don't get a chance to practice in the court, you should practice, in my view, in the other normal courts, and even if you're not a Kadhi, then there's no harm to be a magistrate and eventually to be a judge. We have very few judges and very few magistrates who are Muslims, because of the proposition that probably now this is al-hukmu fi ghayri ma amara Allah and all those kufr and so on. But you can see the ramifications we are having, the judgments that are coming against Islamic law. If we had judges who are Muslims, although not trained in Islamic law, they can be assisted, and then they'll be able to protect and advance the aspects of Islamic law as a magistrate and as a judge of the High Court and Court of Appeal and even the Supreme Court. We are very few in those regards, and we should have as many as possible. Allahu Alam.
Sheikh Al-Halim has said, I refer to the issue of diversity. And one of the ramifications which Sheikh Qadhi has mentioned now is that Qadhi rules are being overturned. They're being struck out. Why? Because the hierarchy, the law students are here, they can understand the hierarchy of the courts. If a Qadhi gives a judgment or a decision, it goes to the higher court. Until we have superior courts for the Kadhi'S, we don't know when, Allah Ta'ala Alam, when we'll be alive or not. But the only way out is to have Muslim judges at the superior courts. We have few now, Justice Muhammad Ibrahim and the others. And you can see, you can read, from the judgments. You can read there's something which they understand. There is something which they appreciate. We are not saying that non-Muslim judges are bad. It's the same story I told you before. Any lecturer can teach Islamic studies. Any lecturer can teach Arabic studies. But if we have a lecturer from the same faith, if you have a lecturer from the same mother tongue, it's different. Let us have diversity. Let us change our attitudes. These issues of saying we are a non-Muslim country and وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. Scholars have a lot of opinions. That's another chapter for another day, but I'm just emphasizing on the issue of what Chief Qadhi has said. We need Muslim magistrates in this country. We cannot prosper. The same way you are seeing in other fields. I don't want to mention a lot, but when you are Muslim, and we are not saying that if you are Muslim at that position, you go and discriminate. No. You do justice. You do justice for all. Because even our High Court judges here, they're not named in their names. You start with Honorable Justice, Al-Adl. And in Islam, we have a lot of examples on that. So let us change our thinking. And alhamdulillah, we have scholars, many scholars. You have here Sheikh Mubarak and Sheikh Jamal and others. You know, Sheikh Jamal didn't mention about the issue of shura. We don't consult. We just pick from Sheikh Google. It's haram, it's halal, and we just give fatwas. We forget, we don't even give credit to a sheikh. So please, law students, and I said earlier, I graduated from Islamic University. In fact, one of the things, I'm sorry to take this time because I'm the host here, my host institution, and I think I have that privilege. Sometimes people come and ask you students, you know, I want to join University of Nairobi. I said, why University of Nairobi? I'm not degrading my own institution. You know, it's a good university, a reputable university. So I asked them a question. Do you know Omdurman University? No, I don't know. That is where I'm coming from. I'm not praising myself, but universities, institutions do not create leaders. It is you who will prove. So my brothers, my sisters, my sons and daughters, let us change our attitude. We are in a different age, we're in a different time. Let's consult with the sheikhs. The last point about opportunities. There are many opportunities in the Qadi court. Even if you don't want to practice or to become a Qadi for that matter, because people already, you have that stereotype. Ibn Battuta, the one which Sheikh Abdul Halim has mentioned, Ibn Battuta was a Qadi, but he had an ambition. Besides being a Qadi, he said, let me just go around the world and see what is happening, a geographer. So there are many opportunities in the Qadi court. One of them is law students, you can do legal clinics. You can do pro bono work. And if you decide to go to that route, then Arabic will be your tool. If you want to go the Sharia way, you want to practice in Qadi courts, you want to know much about Sharia, please equip yourself from now with Arabic. And we are lucky because we have many institutions which offer those kinds of, Jamia Mosque and others will get a lot of help in terms of that. So my parting shot, please. We have, alhamdulillah, now some of our students who are magistrates and, they're in the line of becoming judges. So let's widen up. If the good thing with the judiciary, you are independent. If you have any case which you feel, you have an issue, you just pass it to your colleague. My colleague, this one is a bit tricky for me, just handle it. If you feel you're conscious, that it may, at a point, maybe conflict with your faith, you just pass it the same way we say the conflict of interest. If I'm a judge, and then I have a case which is represented by my student, an advocate, I'll just recuse myself and say, my friend, take this one, I cannot appear because there's a conflict of interest. So we have many options. My dear students, consult. Don't take, because one decision you make at a point, you may get an opportunity for an LLB. And someone else may come and pick a fatwa from Google. Law is haram. I remember, just for an anecdote. I trained before Honorable Justice Abida Ali. That was in 2000. She's now a superior judge. So when I went 2000, one of my colleagues, a sheikh, vipi bwana, waenda kwa mwanamke bwana, waenda kusoma sharia kwa mwanamke. Kaambia sheikh, mimi siendi kusoma sharia, ni requirement, siwezi kwenda school of law mpaka nipitie through an advocate. Na huyu advocate Abida is one of the best lawyers in that time. So you see attitudes. Even sometimes your friends, your sheikhs will come and suppose if that moment I said, okay, this advocate is a bad one or is a lady and I forget about law, could I be here today sitting as, before you with all those, profiles? So please, students, take advantage. And we normally say, put your head, any opportunity you have, put your head and your hand and leg, and ultimately you reach, and because the whole idea, please
look at the bigger picture. Think out of the box. Don't think about yourself. Sheikh Qadhi said, it's not an issue of you becoming a Qadhi. Think about the community. Because if you become in any area of professional, it will benefit you, it will benefit your family, it will benefit your community, and of course, the entire country.
Jazakallah khairan, Doctor and our Chief Qadhi, for enlightening us with the beautiful answers. Without further ado, our Imam, Sheikh Jamaluddin, would like to request for other responsibilities to leave our premises.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ikhwani wa akhawati fillah, first of all, I'm very honored to be gathered with you here today, and I thank Allah for this opportunity. And also I want to thank Young Muslim Association for their efforts. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our Chief Qadhi. And as young people, I'm also young, inshallah. As young people, we have an obligation to educate ourselves about Islam. So I would really want every one of you to make time to study the deen. You see, these people who are seated here, no one was born with knowledge. Everyone came to this world 0%. Wallahu akhrajakum min butuni ummahatikum la ta'lamuna shay'a. All of you came out of the wombs of your mother not knowing anything. Not knowing anything. No one was born with knowledge. So what happened is everyone had to put some effort, and they were given tools. They were given ears to listen, they were given eyes to see and read, and they were given hearts to preserve the knowledge. So my advice to you is take time and study your deen. Number two, I'm very honored to meet Dr. Abdul Qadir Hashim. It's first time I'm seeing the Sheikh. Dr. Abdul Qadir Hashim, right? Ndoye Ustad? Ndoye. I've read his materials, but now I'm putting the face with the name together, because I knew this Sheikh differently, and I knew Dr. Abdul Qadir Hashim was a different person. But lo, I've connected the dots. So I've benefited from some of your works. I've read some of your works, and I'm honored today to have met you, and I would love to have your number also. Diversity. So I've read your materials. There's some very nice materials I've made. May Allah bless you and grant you tawfiq and a way you can benefit the ummah more.
Ameen.
Lastly, I have other duties. I have to go lead Dhuhr prayer, and I would love to excuse myself. And Sheikh Salman, thank you for the Qira'ah, Khalaf and Hamza. I don't know much about Qira'ah, but I was impressed hearing a young man saying this is Khalaf. And may Allah bless you and grant you more knowledge. Ndugu yangu Barakawes. Barakawes, you're both from Mombasa. The goodness is from the people of Mombasa, not Malindi. So Sheikh Barakawes, Allah has blessed me that we've spent time together. We were neighbors in Mombasa. My house was next to his house. We were neighbors in our mosques. Our mosques were closest to each other. If I miss Asr in my mosque, they would pray for 30, so I'd go to his mosque. And then we came Nairobi at the same time. And inshallah, in Jannah, we'll be together. So he's someone very dear and very close to me. And to Kambali, we've grown together. We've grown together by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he's someone very dear that I love, and someone Allah has granted him knowledge. Amefika PhD, na mimi niko njia nitabanana hapo hapo. Ahsantum wa jazakumullah. Thank you for your time, ya ikhwan. Ahsantum wa jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khairan for the lovely words, Sheikh Jamal. We have a question from one of our leaders, the chairman of Ummah Foundation and the chairman of Parklands Mosque Committee, Uncle Fawz Qureshi. We'd like to ask the Chief Qadhi the second question.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My question, Honorable Chief Qadi, is regarding the children matter during divorce and separation in within Muslims. The Chief Qadi's quotes decisions regarding children are overturned by the Children's Court, saying that the Chief Qadi's court does not have the jurisdiction to decide or give rulings on children matter. You know, the children matters are very integral part of a divorce or a separation within Muslims. So I can't understand why the law does not allow the Chief Qadi's court to give rulings or decisions or make decisions or rulings on children matter. Or is there a chance for an amendment in law to incorporate such a thing, where the Chief Qadi's court would be given powers to decide on children matters? Jazakallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is one of those very technical and at the same time probably disturbing issues that has affected our court. I was trying to partly answer it through my presentation. There was no context on the issue of this jurisdiction before the new constitution, 2010. Before that, then we always had the Kadhi'S court were hearing this because the act itself, how it says, and then came the Children's Act. That was a special court established to deal with children's matter, and then the new constitution. So the interpretation of that brought problem to the High Court. So whenever we made decisions, people rushed to the High Court and said, you have no jurisdiction on the Kadhi'S court. The problem has been on the High Court. In the systems in Kenya, the High Court is a superior court, so the Kadhi'S court is a lower court. So it is bound by the decisions of the High Court. Some of the judges, fortunately, are saying we do have jurisdiction. Some say we don't have jurisdiction. As Kadhi'S court, we persistently heard that we do have jurisdiction to handle children's matter because of so many reasons. It was there before. You look at the charter, the agreement, Shamte and Jomo Kenyatta, that agreement, that is an international treaty, that was the precursor to the 1963 Constitution. So, and also all this before the 2010 Constitution, we still have it. And the Children's Act itself did not repeal the Kadhi'S Court Act. It repealed so many other acts, but the Kadhi'S Act was not touched. And also the provisions itself did not oust the jurisdiction of the Kadhi'S Court Act. There are so many reasons. But those who are saying we don't have jurisdiction, they were looking at the Constitution, saying if the writers of the Constitution wanted us to have jurisdiction, they will have put it there, children's. They want to have a literal word put there. So it was not there. They say we don't have. And also they say now there's a special court that we have. Fortunately, because the High Court itself, we have so many judges. And the very last decision that just shared in the miscellaneous courts, that the High Court agreed with us. And even the Court of Appeal agreed with our decision. So the problem is it depends on the judge's persuasion. So there's still a problem, but we do have jurisdiction. And Muslims should not be afraid to go to Kadhi'S court on the issues of children. We encourage them to go because we hear 3,000 cases a year. And out of those 3,000 cases, the cases that will go to an appeal are less than even 2%. So we still hear so many other cases. And as long as so many other judges are saying you have a jurisdiction, there's no harm. It's only those who are convinced by their advocates argue that, then they create a problem first. The final remedy that will solve this problem is to have it in clear black and white in the act that we have constitution. That conversation has been ongoing. We have an opportunity during the review of the act. The Kadhi'S Court Act is a very old act. It's a 1969 act. It needs to be aligned to the new constitution. It has not yet been aligned. The Chief Justice, Honorable Justice Martha Koome, is in the process of making a committee to make a draft to review the act so that we have another act. When you are doing this, it will be an opportunity to clarify this jurisdiction, and we hope at that time probably we'll have a better opportunity. But as it is as well, we still do have the jurisdiction, and people should continue going to the Kadhi'S Court of Law.
Jazakallah khairan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our Chief Qadi of Republic of Kenya with more ilm and tolerance. Jazakallah khairan.
Shukran so much, Sheikh Yassin, for that moderating that session. I know we have many questions. I know we really need to know more about many things. But inshallah, how I wish we get another forum where we can deeply discuss and get to know and get to learn and answer and ask the questions, inshallah. Now, looking at the program, we are supposed to play the video for the Chief Qadi's office before and after Young Muslim Association renovated his office. So if it's ready, kindly let us play.
المؤمنين الخالدين فيها. Oh Allah, if I step into the gardens of paradise, nothing like I've seen, better than my dreams, and all for the tears I've cried. Oh, I pray I'm shown a brand new home with the Prophet by my side. And for that with these I'd happily trade everything in my life. هي جنة المؤمنين الخالدين فيها. عند القلوب تحب أهلها. ادخلوها بسلام.
Thank you so much, ICT personnel, for the video. Takbir. Takbir. We have been having many Muslim organizations existing for years in Kenya, but we have never seen a project like this. Takbir. What Young Muslim Association are doing is something so amazing. And inshallah, may Allah accept it from them and their partners and everyone who is making these things of khair strive in the Republic of Kenya. Before I invite Madam Ma'alima Fatima for the votes of thanks, I want to share a verse in the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Qasas where Allah says, قالت إحداهما يا أبت استأجره إن خير من استأجرت القوي الأمين. This is a narration of two sisters, Nabi Shu'aib and Nabi Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. Why am I bringing this? we have all known that the Kadhi'S court is related to matters of marriage and divorce. For many years, that is what we have always known. And my advice goes to the sisters who are in this hall and the fathers who are here. These two daughters, one of the daughters, when they met Nabi Musa alayhi salam, she went back to the father and told the father, employ this person because this person is trustworthy and he's qawi, and he's energetic. If we translate it in the normal life scenario nowadays, this lady was already impressed by Nabi Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. Ilikuwa kufix line tu na kutoa sifa. You get? This lady was already impressed, but how she brought it to the father, who is Nabi Shu'aib, very indirectly. So to my sisters, what is a learning point of you guys? If you are impressed by a man ambaye amekuridhisha dini, tabia, usiogope kumwambia babako. To the fathers in this forum, especially those with daughters, anytime you have a one-on-one conversation with your daughter, and the daughter akianza kusema, baba, mtoto wa Ahmad mashallah kiraa chake cha Qur'an kizuri, na hakosekani msikitini. As a father, usiharibu mambo. Sheikh Jamaluddin will always say, connect. So ya jamaa, I brought this to at least we can equate this with what is happening. So to the fathers, and unfortunately nowadays, when some of the daughters approaches the father is like, but mwanangu, yani you are a doctor. The person yani nani? Dad is not a doctor. Falas. Yeah, jamaa, the fathers who are in this forum, anytime your daughter comes to you already impressed, she's impressed by someone, and you go and confirm that this person is well and good, our qadis and shuyukhs are ready to unite. Ama nadanganya ya jamaa. Thank you so much. So it's now my honor, before I invite Ma'alima Fatima, the presence of Dr. Hassan Lawyer Kinywa Omari, one of the also senior lecturers at the University of Nairobi and among the board members of YMA, has just arrived. Welcome so much, Doctor. So Ma'alima Fatima, you can now come so that you can give us the votes of thanks.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Muhammad, Miss Fatma was enough. I have my shuyukh and a'imma here. Being called Ma'alima is, alhamdulillah. Ya Sheikh, Sheikhuna Athman Abdul Halim. Since morning we have been having men standing here. Not just men, but a'imma and shuyukh. And I am here to represent the ninja, the hijab, and our sisters. Can I have the stage? Can I have the stage? Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh مرة ثانية. يقول الله عز وجل: وإذ تأذن ربكم لئن شكرتم لأزيدنكم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you're grateful, I will certainly give you more. I will certainly increase you. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: من لا يشكر الناس لا يشكر الناس لا يشكر الله. Whoever does not thank people does not thank Allah. And we want more of this joyous event. So I will start by saying, I express my sincere gratitude to our chief guest, the Chief Qadi of the Republic of Kenya, Sheikh Athman Abdul Halim. Our A'imma and Shuyukh, Sheikh Jamaluddin from Jamia Mosque, Imam of Masjidul Huda, Sheikh Mubarak Awais, Dr. Abdul Qadir Hashim, Senior Lecturer at the University of Nairobi, and for the beautiful recitation, Sheikh Salman Aslam, and all our respected ulama. Many thanks to our organizer of the event, Young Muslim Association, our trustee, Sheikh Muti'ur Rasul, and Sheikh Salim Abu Bakr Bajabir. Jazakumullah khairan. Our thanks extends to Honorary Chairman of Young Muslim Association, Mr. Abu Bakr Bajabir, Honorary Vice Chairman, Mr. Ahmed Alvi, Honorary Treasurer, Mr. Yusuf Kadarani. I needed that. I was shaking badly. Our Board of Director, Sheikh Numair, and Dr. Hassan Kenya. Our head office team, MashaAllah, they've been here since 6 in the morning. Our volunteers. Special thanks to our partners who have made the event successful. Association of Muslim Universities and Colleges in Kenya. I have stood in front of people several times, but I think it's just different. As a Muslim woman standing in front of a crowd, being given a chance, and people seeing you more than a woman, a learned lady, it's different. Jazakumullah khairan. Muslim Student Association of University of Nairobi, Pembe Flour Mills, Brother Abu Bakr, Mizan Trading, Brother Shamil, Alvi Trading, Brother Hamid, JCB Ganatra, Brother Altaf. Barakallahu feekum. Such an event would not have been possible without you guys. And to all our Muslim organizations that are present here, all the heads of the schools and the students, thank you for showing up. Finally, the management of UON and the staff for assisting us with such a beautiful auditorium. And the smooth running of the event. We've been having the caretakers, the ICT team with us. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you, one and all. Before I leave, I wanted to have a word with the girls. It is possible. It is possible to have your ninja, your hijab, and have a voice. We are not the same as the men. Let me repeat that. We are not the same as our men. We are different, but we are meant to be different. Each one of us is meant to be 100% in their own way. So work on becoming a Muslim leader, a Muslim woman leader. And inshallah, we'll have a great community when we build our men to be men and they build our women to be women. Ignore my shaking, I don't know what's going on. Jazakumullah khair.
Thank you so much, Ma'alima Fatma. For the few days I've interacted with her in organizing this event as part of the YMA team. She's a broad and very strong woman. Leo kidogo ametetemeka, but ni hali ya binadamu. I now want to invite, in a minute, Dr. Hassan Kenya. Please, in a minute, Dr.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, thumma salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah Muhammad nabillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is the third event I'm attending today, and everywhere I go, they tell me a minute. And I keep on telling these people, you don't have to tell me a minute, because I have a privilege of having worked in Alhaajartvkenya TV, Ikra FM, currently Alhaajartvkenya TV. So when you talk of minutes, I know what it means. I teach in 5 universities, the University of Nairobi, Rihara University, Mount Kenya University, Tangazo University. I know what it means. If I eat 10 minutes in University of Nairobi, I will not make it to Mount Kenya University. But I want to thank each and every person who has come here on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, University of Nairobi, whom we just have a talk before I came here, and is very happy with what is happening today. I also talked to our Dean, which we met with my brother Ahmed Alvi in the National Prayer Breakfast, who was highly ready to come, but he said next time we tell him in advance, he will even forfeit the church to come. But I lastly, thank each and every person who is here. My lecturer, Dr. Abdul Qadir Hashim, he taught me in this university, and he's still my lecturer. We are still together colleagues. I highly thank our Imam, Parklands Mosque, our Chief Kadhi, very, very busy person, but he has gotten time, especially for Young Muslim Association. My chairman, Brother Ahmed Alvi, I must tell you one thing. He has highly shaped who I am. Unfortunately, I'm someone who can take 10 things at once. Never say wrong. Never say no. He told me, Doctor, you have to say no sometimes. And you see, even today, I didn't have to say no, because there's also another meeting where almost 37 schools are meeting at Alliance Boys. Alliance High, where I have to go back to. And also see our brother Dr. Badru and our other sheikhs. So may Allah grant all of us the best. What we are trying to say is that when we are in this university, know that everyone is looking at us because we are the University of Nairobi. And what not forgetting my Imam, Sheikh Awais, who actually has highly also mentored me in many things. And our chairman, Musaun, who has been my student for quite too long. Mine, he has not sent me. But I request, especially Young Muslim Association, please let us support this young man so that we see him become a doctor and start teaching, especially in this university and many other universities. So on behalf of everyone, may Allah grant all of us the best. Know that this is our home, and Jazakumullah khair. And if I've forgotten everyone, please forgive me. Shukran jazila.
Shukran so much, Doctor. You are on the right point until when you mentioned he's my student for too long. I don't do supplementary exams, ya Jama. Because when you mentioned, when you say I'm here for too long, everyone is like, so this person has been retaking units. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. As he has said, alhamdulillah, one of the busiest person I've known and also one of the most instrumental person. Sometimes I'll ask Doctor, will you make it to class? He says, I'm not sure. But on dot, he's there in class waiting for you. So I'm like, Doctor, you said you'll be in Tangaza University. So he's someone who, mashallah, alhamdulillah, so resourceful. Many books he has written, a lot of things. So may Allah bless you, our doctor, and may Allah accept it from you, inshallah. So before the dua, which I'll invite Sheikh Badru Ja'far for that, we have some quick announcements. Number one, we are gonna have lunch for every one of us in this hall. For our students, itakuwa packed lunch. So after Salah, we'll have the lunch being distributed. To our guests, the VIP and VVIP, we have something that has been rotating. 5th floor is where it's set for you. We'll have prayers after this, where our Rijal, we are going to pray in 5th floor. We are in 6th floor, so just one staircase below us, and our sisters, you'll pray in 4th floor, and there is where you're gonna take your lunch. And as we'll be moving out of this hall, we are going to remain seated as gentlemen so that we can let our sisters go first. And at the same time, for our VIP guests, we are going to use this exit. We will have volunteers to show you where to go. It's not yet over, ya Habibi. We need to have dua. We need to have dua. So also we are going, the washrooms in the 4th floor. I know some are labeled male, but for this event, let our sisters use them. And the same washrooms in the 5th floor where we are going to pray, imekuwa labeled female, we are going to use them as male. So let us not have that mixing. To our VVIP, we have washrooms just here. We have the volunteers who are going to take us through. On behalf of the Muslim Student Association of the University of Nairobi, it has been an honor to host this event in University of Nairobi. We have many universities in Nairobi, but you aim to be given this priority as Msaun Chairperson, Executive Council. I must say, YMA, thank you for that. And together as the Chairperson of AMUC, we are also very grateful for the opportunity to partner to bring this event in this forum. So thank you so much. I've been the MC for the day. Kama nimekosea, nimetamka vibaya, hakuna asiyekuwa na kasoro isipokuwa Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mpaka tutakapokutana tena majaliwa ya kipenda. Shukran. So Sheikh Badru Ja'far, you can officially close for us the forum with a word of prayer. We have been having some requests from various high school about the photo session with the Kadhi'S. That is in communication with your patron. We are going to see how we are going to do that. Shukran so much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Kabla ya dua, ningependa kusema neno moja tu, na inshallah taala itakuwa zaidi ya dakika moja. Asema mshairi, idha lam yakun aunun min Allahi lilfata fa awwalu ma yajni alayhi ijtihaduhu. Wamefahamu wenye kufahamu. Kile ambacho ningependa kusisitiza katika shairi hili ni kuwa katika yote ambayo tutayafanya, tusisahau kumuomba Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala ule msaada wake. Lao hatutopata msaada wa Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, basi la kwanza litakalo tuharibia sisi itakuwa ni ijtihadi yetu. Tumomba Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kwa majina yake yaliyokamilika na sifa zake za utukufu, ajalie yote ambayo tumeyazungumza katika kikao hiki iwe katika mizani ya hasanati zetu, na tumomba Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ikiwa tumekosea kama tunavyopata katika hadithi ya kafaratul majlis, subhanakallahumma bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik, ambayo tunamwomba Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala awe ni mwenye kutusamehea chochote ambacho kimepatikana katika kikao kama hiki. Fanaqulu maratan ukhra subhanakallahumma bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik.